All right, I think we're live. What is this? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, what? And it's 16th of February 2025, and we're here live and
You
direct.
you got the date right?
What's today's date? You always confuse me. What's the date? What's the date? You
No,
always
you're
do
right.
this to me every podcast.
It's the 16th, yes.
All right, the 16th of February
Uh,
2025. And yeah, welcome to the podcast, where we review and just talk our hats out to the most breaking news out of the motherland. And yeah, we have a few topics and a whole slew of topics to tackle today. It's a full house. When I looked at that menu, actually, last night, I was like, oh my goodness. Anyway, let's go. And my name is Kalinda Shachinda, right here in the Hoosier state of Indiana. And yeah, the city is Indianapolis. That's where you are hearing this wonderful voice from. And let me just bring in my people. Let me start here with the wonderful, the most handsome, the most, okay, let's leave it there. The one and only, the amazing, incomparable co host, Batanda Chilufia. Do your Vavuzelas, please.
Kwaye. Thank you very much, Bakalinda. It's always good and to spend a Sunday afternoon discussing these issues. Of course, my name is Chanda Chilufia, and I'm broadcasting live from Ontario, Canada. And ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you from wherever you're watching, depending on what time zone you're in. Could be in the afternoon, could be in the evening, could be in the morning. So it just depends on where you are in the world. We thank you for joining us. Taking time out of your busy schedule just to share some ideas and dive into the most trending topics that have happened throughout the week. And let's see if we can try to debunk certain things and try to explain certain things to make it easier for a lot of our Zambians and a lot of other people that don't really follow the news, and let them know what's going on with the UPND government and what we're doing, and Zambia at large, in Africa at all, because Zambia is not isolated. Zambia is not an island. So we're here to discuss these issues. Hopefully, we'll have a healthy and fruitful conversation at the end of the day, and at least we'll pick up one or two things. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you. And I'll pass it on to you back, Wakalinda.
Wonderful, wonderful. How about now we bring in my my relative, the one and only. Doc on the panel for right now to do his babuzelas.
Well, you can hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. My name is Michiro Chikonka. And obviously, I'm from the great state of Indiana. And my relative here, like Vashachinda, is that she's here to help us and guide everything else. I'm not a regular to this program, but believe it or not, I like to try and join in all the time. Unfortunately, many times I try to log in, it's almost over, or it's like somewhere in the middle where the conversation I'm kind of lost from the beginning, but I've tried to keep on my schedule. As soon as I get off church, I kind of turn on. That's why I sent a message asking, is the meeting on today or not? because
Okay.
because I thought maybe I missed out because of time. Like it could be Pacific time that they're trying to put there, or maybe it's Eastern time, or is it,
Uh,
whatever it is. I was like, I may have missed this meeting. It was so quiet. I can just suggest something as we go. My thinking is that
Yes.
maybe
Go ahead.
I don't know how to run all these technical stuff, but maybe like when the program is about to start, if you're busy watching the Man New games and stuff, like put some kind of interlude of music or something to show that something is coming.
You know what?
Just
You
Muremba
have that, and
Bakalinda.
actually, I have a little something, something
Muremba Bakalinda.
that I already created a long time ago that I haven't used in a minute. So definitely we'll do that in
Yeah, I
future.
mean, if it's,
Let
I
everybody
don't know
know.
how to work those kind of things, but I was like, maybe it would be helpful because I just logged in and there was nothing. I was like,
Oh
oh,
yeah, we
I said, well,
forgot.
maybe I missed out. So I
We
could have just
forgot.
logged in and go by my business and missed the whole thing, you know?
Yeah,
But I
exactly.
logged
Because
back
it's
in.
funny how we forget things.
Sorry, did I miss you up there? Okay,
Oh
sorry.
yeah. No, I was trying to show you what I have.
Okay.
This is not the
To
time
Okay.
to
cut you
show us.
off.
You not come back.
Sorry. I'll put
I
I'll,
think.
I'll put that on. Moving on forward.
Okay, thank you. That would be great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw the topics posted on regular channels, and I'm like, oh, these are kind of interesting. I would like to hear what people have going on here. So hey,
Yeah, we do
that's
have
why
a
I'm
full,
here.
yeah, it's a full package. So I guess as people come on and join in, let's just hit into it. And so the first topic we have in hand today is that I know we've talked about her on this forum. She's our, I think for me, I love talking about her. Anyway, we thought, I mean, I seriously thought she had run away from Zambia. This is the Kawama member of parliament, Tassilo Lungu, who happens to be the daughter to our former president, the sixth Republican president, Chagwa, Edgar Chagwa Lungu. She took some time out. She was here in the U.S. To have a baby some 9 months ago, almost a year, I think, if my knowledge serves me right. And Dick, we're looking for her to answer some charges. And finally, she arrived in Zambia. I think that was sometime last week, Monday or Tuesday, I think Tuesday to be precise. She was welcomed at the airport by the Secretary General of the party, Raphael Savimbi Nakachinda. And then he, of course, that was Monday. And then Tuesday, oh, holy, the chicken kept to roost. Dick moved in and arrested her for money laundering, and of course, they are still charging her with the illegal possession of that farm in Cinda. And yeah, so that's where we are. Maybe before we even move forward, shall we just bring in our wonderful resident peers, Vachanda Kazia? Welcome back, and do your Vavuzela straight away. He ran away. Anyway, but who wants to go first on the arrest of Tassila Lungu by death?
Let's let Rachikonka, since he has Vamich, he hasn't been here for a long time.
Yeah, we will give
So
him the, yeah. Let him open the floor for
yeah.
us. Your take on that arrest, Doc.
Well, um, first of all, I kind of have a little bit of concerns about some of these arrests that they do in Zambia related to money laundering and possession of this and that. Those are very, in some way, difficult cases to prove. Because you know you don't have so much evidence to put out there and say, well, you didn't do this. You only get this much money. How did you obtain all these things? Those are all like things that a normal person would assume. But in Zambia, it's kind of almost difficult to kind of prove that. I see that. I mean, obviously, the law is good now. They don't lock you in jail forever,
Mm-hmm.
and you stay until they decide when to bring you back. They just arrest you, they charge
Mm-hmm.
you, and you can
Mm-hmm.
bond yourself out. So
Mm-hmm.
lawyers will bond you out and go out. So this girl, in my understanding, I think we have an uphill battle. It looks like a slam dunk so far. It doesn't. It's an uphill battle for anyone to say that the farm that she possesses is way too much more than what she earned. First of all, it's legally given to her, like paper wise, all the legalities have been followed. That's a
Mm-hmm.
problem.
Mm-hmm.
So all the legal processes have been followed for even to be issued that kind of title deed to have it. So
Mm-hmm.
she legally obtained it. So all those channels that she went through, obviously, it's because of the influence of the power that the father had and everything else. But it
Mm-hmm.
was still legal either way, regardless of what influence was. She has
Mm-hmm.
legal papers for it. So it is kind of hard. I don't know if this will go anywhere at all, or it will just be forgotten in the wind. It's kind of hard to do that in Zambia.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that's my opinion, but I just feel like many of these cases they sound like such an alarm, and everybody's hyperventilating about it and all kind of stuff. But in the end, they can't go anywhere because even the criminal courts do not have enough evidence to charge anybody. Most people.
Mm.
That's how I see it. So I see it very difficult that Tatsila will end up either giving it up back or otherwise losing it. I don't know how that's gonna work. I'm sure she's legally covered very well by local lawyers there.
Well, that's such a very interesting take on that. And well, let's hear about what the others. But I like that argument. Let's hear what the others will say on that. And maybe back to the fair before you go on. Our beloved resident PS is back, and of course, my handsome. Um, Lozy Doctor, who is just enjoying his life out there in the blue waters of Puerto Rico. Also, he's back. And gentlemen, we're talking Tassila Lunga's arrival in Zambia, and then she's greeted the very next day with an arrest. And as a mother, let me just tell her. Welcome to motherhood. She's the first time mother. I think at that child looks like he's 6 months or she's 6 months old or whatever. But yeah, welcome to motherhood, gentlemen. Do your vuvuzelas and well, let's Sophia dive into the topic, and then we'll have, of course, a rebuttal from a wonderful resident PS and my handsome Lozy Doctor. In that order, please. Back to Sophia.
Okay. Yeah. I think what Vamichi is trying to point out is a very interesting angle to look at this case. Very, very interesting in the fact that it was a gift, and that gift came from the head of state. And we all know the head of state, former head of state, which was Lungu at the time, was he still has immunity. He still has shielded by the law because of that immunity. So if they go after her, she just points to say, "My father gave it to me." Now we cannot go to the father because the father has that immunity shielding him. Okay, so that's where I think Vamich is saying it's going to be a little bit difficult in the courts to really judge this case or come to a full conclusion. Because she was given it legally, documents were signed, here is the president, and that's it. You know, now she herself on her own, we all know she cannot afford to buy that piece of land. She can't, not at a salary of a member of parliament. You can't afford to buy that piece of land. That's a huge investment. It takes years and years and years and years for people to have such kind of investment in that or anywhere in the world. Okay, not on the side of a government worker. Okay, even if I can go back, even Winter was saying that, look, there's nobody who can afford. He's worked with all these governments before, and he said it. You can't even not on a salary, normal of a salary if you live for, you cannot afford to build a two-story house. Not on this salary or over for unless you're doing something illegal. Unless you're doing something illegal. So was she doing something illegal? That we cannot go into that angle of discussion because she clearly said it was a gift from my father. Now, was the father doing something illegal? That's another case. That's a different topic altogether. So obviously, this is going to end up being, without a lot of evidence, and then they'll just say, okay, fine, let's, put it aside. But as far as we know, we cannot go for the father, who's Valungu, because he shielded by that rest my case.
All right. Is it me back to say you're going in and out? I think your old problem is back. Are you using your old mic?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, his mic
Oh my God.
is very funny. It goes in out.
He's using Huawei. Anyway, I'm kidding. Doc, you come in. Doc, you come in.
Yeah, Chanda has run away.
Oh, he's back again.
He's run away.
Here he is. Look at
There he
him.
is. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, uh, f- first of all, Chanda, can you mute yourself? Echo.
Easy, I'm trying to get my settings right. I will mute it.
Okay. There's an echo coming from you. First of all, I'm not a fan of having this thing in the constitution that protects a former president from prosecution.
Mm-hmm.
It is something that we should get rid of as a country because it simply encourages presidents to steal. They know that they will never be prosecuted anyway until the immune system, I mean, not immune system, whatever they call it, immunity is lifted. So it's something that as a country, if we are really, really serious about stopping thieving by politicians, we should have things which discourage thieving, not things which encourage thieving by the leader of the country. So we are not serious in the first place to have that clause in our constitution that the president is immune from prosecution. So it's a bad thing, and I think we should be ashamed of ourselves. Secondly, to try and investigate the first family, the so-called the family of a former president, when everyone is saying my husband gave it, the wife said my husband gave it to me, the son said my father gave it to me as a gift, the daughter now is saying my father gave it to me. So, and then you have a clause in the constitution that says you can't prosecute Lungu. So we're just wasting time and resources. Let's let the presidents be stealing, and that's what we want. If that's what we want, just we can't put a clause in a constitution that says we cannot prosecute Lungu, and yet we want to prosecute him, his children. We can't, because they will just say, my father gave it to me, and that's it. That's the end of the story. So we are sort of, to me, I sometimes tell Chanda that there's a word that I use to describe ourselves as Zambians. I know Chanda doesn't like that word, but we are just that. I think it's very sad that we try to solve problems which we have created ourselves. I yield.
Great insights about Doc. And how about we bring the man himself, the mystery, our beloved resident PS.
Yeah. Wow, it's a tough call, by the way. There is a reason. There's nowhere where it says that the president cannot be prosecuted for the crimes they've committed. There's nothing like that. The law provides for what needs to be done to prosecute the president. If there is evidence that he has committed a crime. And I think if you look at the president this year, he has said it in the past that if initiate the process, if you think that I've committed a crime, go back and lay evidence of what I've done wrong, what I've stolen. And nothing has gone to parliament to show that he has stolen or something like this has happened. I am not a strong advocate for, in fact, I'm not an advocate of anyone dipping their fingers in public funds and stuff like that. I'm not. But there are procedures that must be followed. The country has been reduced to a place where if I feel that Danny has stolen, I will go to the media and I'm going to say, oh, he has a house in Charara area. We need to investigate how he has built the house. He is a thief. Just imagine that that is the connotation that we've been having in Zambia. Is that when people perceive that you're a thief, then you're a thief. And even when people know that you have not been subject to the due process of the law, they will continue to call a person a thief. A suspect in Zambia is convicted by public discourse, and there is no protection for that when it is happening. I expect government to be the first one to say, no, wait a minute. He is not a thief, he's a suspect, and we are going through the process of identifying whether he is a thief or not. What has been unfortunate is that the first family, for the former first family for President Edgar Lungu, they are the only ones who are thieves in Zambia right now. The conversation is about how they've been thieving family, as if the entire country was run by them. And then to the exclusion that how long? Because when you start to ask questions without answers, then people become speculators. Number one, you ask people, how long has President Edgar Lungu been in business and worked? Is it for 40 years? Let's say it's been there for 40 years, 30 years, working in different fields and different portfolios. Is it far-fetched that, okay, everything he owns is stolen? Where is the dividing line of what has been stolen and what has been legitimately obtained? Then second, what I have, a very big one now is, the only thieves that we have in Zambia. There's no thieving that has happened between the Indians, the Chinese, the Europeans, and everyone else. Those are not thieves. The only people that are thieves are people that have been in the past government. What about the current government? And I give an example specifically, and nobody even speaks about it. Gold turning into copper overnight. The gold scandals that have been there. The $2 billion externalization. We find ways of justifying when people are in power. We have to justify whatever they've owned, whatever processes have been done. We need to look at this very, very clearly and very, very carefully. All countries, including the US, have immunities for the president. And they go through the same process when they want to remove immunities, even here in Canada. Anyway, and there's a reason why immunity is given to presidents. Let me give a typical example. The president, current president, he is not the Minister of Finance. He is not. But he has appointed the Minister of Finance. Under the watch of the Minister of Finance, 2.5 billion goes to Panama. When it goes to Panama, who should we hold accountable to explain to the greatest depth of that kind of transaction? It's the Minister of Finance, in my opinion. Then we jump this when HH leaves office. Then we go and say, President HH is the one who stole 2.5 billion. And as a country, we start debating him and we go to Parliament, let's remove the immunity to arrest him. When we know where the case is. The issue of collective punishment and the crime by association is killing our country, is killing the fight against corruption, is killing the fight to stop people from stealing. When you know the person who has stolen, don't bring other people in. Let's follow the person who is corrupt. Let's follow the person who is a thief, so that other people, even if they're associated to him, we know that they are not the target. The conversation now in Zambia is, when you associate yourself with someone who is a thief, you are a thief by extension. Even if you don't know what he was stealing, they will come and say you are a thief because you know about it. If he's a thief, let's follow the one who is a thief. Colleagues, for me, I have serious reservation. For this one, Tasira is facing something that was decided, something that has gone back into court. How do you take back something that has already been decided? What are you trying to prove? It's just wasting government resources. Completely government resources being wasted like that. The actual thieves are there, foreign entities that are ripping our country, while we sit here and fight it and submit.
That's a good submission. Bakalinda, am I audible now enough?
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
Yeah, before you come in, I mean, I have serious
Mhm.
questions. I mean, I think the issue of the 2 billion, whatever, I mean, externalization, I haven't heard it. I have no facts to speak on it. I think I'll restrict the comments to what the issue at hand is. It's the silver, and I have the following questions on this still. So we are saying that we are prosecuting Tassilo Lungu because of our proximity to her father. Okay, let's go back to history. When President Lungu came on the scene as a president, okay, he declared 10 kwacha. That's what he had. It's in public domain. A year later, somebody was he came from 10 kwacha to 21 million kwacha.
Mhm.
And when people complain, guess what they did? They changed the law.
Mm.
You know that for any future declaration of a president, somebody has to go to the court. I mean, has to ask the electoral commission permission to actually, make the declaration public. But even before they do that, the electoral commission needs to ask the person
Mhm.
whose records needs to be made public. That's one. Two, between 2021 and 2016 and 2021, Tassila Lungu earned 160,000 kwacha as a councillor of Chawama. All right. And now she owns this farm for 8.8 million. And then you're gonna tell me, oh, she got it from her father. Well, I need to see her father in writing saying, I'm gifting my child, 8 million kwacha. You don't just go to the courts of law and say, oh, my father gave it to me. Where is the written, documentation supporting what you're saying? When you
Better
earn
Bakalinda.
160,000 kwacha,
Moneni Bakalinda.
huh?
Better they show us the transaction, how
Yes,
that money moved from the
yeah,
father's bank, because there was money involved.
yes.
So how that money moved from the father to the daughter, or from the father to the owner of that, the original owner of that land? Where is that transaction? Once
And
you see
let's
the
not
bank,
forget, Cinder Farm
we
was
have
a
to go to the
protected
bank.
forest. It was a
Eh,
protected
yeah,
forest. Where did she
exactly,
pay her 8 million kwacha to?
exactly,
This is
exactly.
somebody who owns 5 million kwacha to some bank in Zambia in loans. Show me that.
Mhm. You see? So those are You the want questions. now the transactions that the family was doing to be public. No, this is
Yes,
in the court.
I
Why
mean,
the court?
she
They should
should
prove it
show
in the
us,
courts of law.
that
When
evidence
you
in
when you go
court.
to the court, never happened in the history of the country.
In
No, 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 no,
court,
no.
in
We're
court,
in
in
court.
court. We are
Let's go to
saying in
court.
court.
But the court decides on what they want to see. You cannot decide that the court must see this. No, it doesn't work like that.
The
We're
court
in
has
court.
been asking for that
No,
evidence, and they have
Kalinda,
failed to
Kalinda,
show in court.
you cannot come and say, let's bring the transaction of family. Now we must be able to decide, okay, let's see when HH sent his money to a child in the USA. How much did you send? Show us a transaction copy. How?
You
Yes,
prove
that's part of the investigation. That is petty.
to prove your innocence. You provide that document in court.
Let's
We can't be
let's
providing our
point out.
innocence like that. That is becoming too intrusive in anyone's. Back in the show, I should be sending money to the United City public. That no man, 500 watch.
I didn't say public. Let's. I said in court.
Yeah, but
In court, provide
the,
your evidence to court. But
the court
the court keeps
decides.
saying you haven't provided that document.
Look
You
at
can't
it.
just come into court and say if you're feeling.
But the court can be able to decide. The court must have the capacity to decide. If I say I'm not giving you this, and I will cite the relevant laws that will show that that is a protected thing. If I say, oh, we want penalty charge. So is that what you want to do?
So Vakazia Monen, the way it works is this: if you go in the courts of law and they obviously she has it's her burden now. They've asked her a question: how did he acquire this land? Right. So it's up to her to provide that information, and among those information, will provide detailed transactions in terms of indaramoko shafumine, who did you pay, how that money came, how did you buy it, all those things. Those are what we call evidence in the courts of law. Okay, it's not far-fetched. I mean, it's not something that's out of the blue, or it's only been done palitatila lungu. No, no, no. These are common practices in the courts of law. You say, okay, I can give an example of Shimba Kamwe when they wanted to curbing on him on acquiring property, through corruption and all that stuff. He had to provide bank statements to say, look, me, I was a supplier in the mine. This mine will pay me 10 kwacha, for example. Just give an example. I will deposit that 10 kwacha, okay? And when I deposit that 10 kwacha, I see a piece of land or see something, I remove 2 kwacha, I buy it. And it was tracked. And he gave it to the courts of law, and everybody was like, oh, okay, that's how that case went dead. Because he had the track record to show. Indalama shafuma kuisa nafola nbomboku. Mbomba kuza nako. Nga nafola ile ndalama. Karako mfola kake nga ninevo lawyer. The most top-notch lawyer in the world. Nga nafola kage nga nakota case nafola nabika ku banki. Yeah? After nasunge ndalama shiria nakwata ko 80 billion. Nashitiro mwana wandilandi. Okay? There should be a track record. Not if you push the into what if you are full, just to confuse people. No. There should be a track record, because everybody knows when he was practicing Wishita Sila, he was one of the worst lawyers that you can ever hire. Even John Sangwa was like, he would come in court, he didn't even know which case he's handling, and he would become drunk.
So let me say something. So
go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, let me just put something here. I think my rendition from the beginning, I just say that unfortunately these cases will be hard to prove in Zambian legal system, and this is just proving it right here. So you see how many opinions people have about it. It seems very, very clear that it would be very, very difficult to prove, because at the end of the day, if she says my father gave me, you have no way to know how or if the father gave her that property or money to pay for that property. And the only way you can know is by going by transaction of Edgar Lungu, like you or people asking. But Edgar Lungu is protected by law not to be asked about those questions. What he gives his children, he gives his children. Where he gets from, we don't have a way to ask him where he got it from. So that's number one. That's a total roadblock for the whole thing. So it's very difficult. If it was just on our own accord to say, I have this money and I bought this and I put it in here, I invested into this and ended up doing this, I'm still paying on it. That's a different case, but that's not the case here. So this girl was gifted by her father, whatever he gifted her. So it just all proves very, very difficult overall. And if you think of it, I think somebody said, gentleman from Puerto Rico, he said that something in the context of us Zambians were just what we are. The issue here is, to me, seems like I think the safeguards of what could be protective of what we are suspicious of in the whole system of our government and how we run things, politicians, all that kind of stuff is not there, and has never been there. It has never been implemented. So it's just by goodwill that people will show, like Shimba Company says, I had this or that. The truth of the matter is that not so many people can really show what they have and what they acquired. Most people in Zambia, especially politicians, they cannot really prove that things are equated to. So that's just the system we live in. And so some of these things that even they bring that like this, it just seems to me like it to be just so much waste of government resources to go after this girl over this. But unfortunately, it is because of the system itself.
Let me agree with you on that.
Yeah,
let me agree with. Can I just say,
Can I?
by 1 minute submission? in agreeing with what he has just said, our system cannot be. We need to go back first with to change the laws. If we start by saying we are going to implicate anybody and arrest anybody and be successful, we will be. It's a pipe dream. We must start by first changing the laws and make the laws more transparent, make the laws more stringent, and then come to the implement. We cannot implement what we have right now. Look at what happened to Chiluba. This is the same thing. Chiluba was a container of shoes. The task force was set to investigate the former president. What happened? Zero. Millions of money was global under that task force. Nothing worked. Look at what happened to President Arabi. The same process went through. Zero. Nothing worked. It's because our laws have not been refined to start to speak to these current challenges that we are having. And that's why when what he says, what my colleagues just said here to say, the world we are living in Zambia makes those prosecutions very difficult. And the people in government right now, they know. That's why the president right now, he can do whatever he would want to do. If he's not stopped by people that are within his party, nobody will. When he leaves office, everybody else will face the dance, except for him. That is the law we've created for ourselves. We need to change the law for us to implement what we want to see. But to say that we're going to implement this law halfway in, it is a pipe dream. It will just rob a lot of money for nothing, and the
In
result is zero.
conclusion,
I submit.
Doc Liswaniso come in.
Yeah, we are all saying the same thing, but using different syllables and sentences. We need to change the law. The laws that we have encourage me as a politician. If I go become a politician in Zambia, I'll be encouraged to steal. It's a truth. Because as long as someone doesn't find evidence of that receipt or something, I'm okay. And the president himself, to me, we have empowered the president to be the chief, what can I say, the head of the mafia. Because I can assure you, people in the government in our country right now, they steal through the president's office because it's very immune. I'm telling you, that's definitely what's happening, because we have put that office to be untouchable. All right. So whatever Lungu was doing, Lungu would have gotten money, or the current president, get money and then start giving his people around. That will not be traced because it is through the presidential office. That's it. You will never trace that. So we are just our own enemies here. And we cry, oh, this, all that, all that. The laws we have created encourage thieving by the highest office of our land. That's the truth. As long as this law is there, every president that comes in will be stealing. That's the truth. Let's be factual. We are humans. We are not Mother Teresa's here. We are not extraordinary people like Mother Teresa, who was saving human beings. First thing, they will all be stealing. Let's just live with this reality because we have created it as Zambians. Thank you.
Bye, Chilufia.
Well, I beg to differ on this particular issue. I think what we need to really, bring forward now is let's bring leaders that are already established, leaders that have already worked. An example of our current president is he's done his homework. Okay, he didn't come into politics
No
to
way.
win or to have money. Okay, that wasn't his mission. He was already owning that house that he lives in before he was in politics. Okay, he wasn't coming from Chawama, for example, right? Where you can't go back to your own house. You start renting a house. Okay, so that even shows the differences. So we need to start setting a standard on who should be a president. Where are you in life? Okay, I think even in the US they do something like that, whereby at least you have to be a billionaire or a millionaire to become a president, because
we now need to start thinking of how African politics are going to move for in the next generation. Because if we're going to bring in a leader because he's popular, but he doesn't have that that income, or he's never handled millions and millions of dollars, and then once he sits on that seat and start seeing all this money, then he gets confused. Now, instead of now saving the people, he starts saving himself and his family. This is where African politics are becoming a problem. And that's why we're seeing all these leaders at the end of the day, if they become so rich, their family is so rich, but the people are poor because he's just enjoying himself. He doesn't see what an ordinary Zambian is seeing, for example, right? But if you put in a person like HH,
Some people were renowned for sharing money.
you see,
So he was very, very generous. Lungu was very, very generous.
You start jumping. You see, trunks and trunks and trunks of money. Now that they've changed, which will be the other topic, they've changed the currencies. We are going to see they're panicking. I'm hearing sources, close internal sources, they're telling me that people are panicking because of that money that have changed. They are
As they should.
panicking.
As they
Panicking.
should. Because in fact, that should have been created in the first year that the new government was in. They should have done that.
Now you colleagues,
I
respond.
Let me come in for
Has
just
he
a
done?
moment. Let me no,
I
no, no,
want.
no.
After you done, I would like to.
Let me just come in here for just a moment. I think for me, really, when it comes to tax, I'm very passionate about it. And I know you guys are saying, well, it's going to be hard. I mean, we already have precedent and the law is already there. The onus is, if you are accused, the onus is on the accused to prove how you acquired your property. You can, and again, you cannot you cannot just walk into the court and say, oh, my father gave that money to me, or what. Why do I say so? One, we have examples already. Charity Katanga, the former police commissioner, the one who is serving a jail sentence for all her, her illegal dealings and all the money that she got illegally. I mean, she went into court and said, well, I had a loan. This is how much I made. And oh, by the way, my rich uncle gave me a loan to buy these $1 million buses. And when the court looked at everything that she provided, they told her, madam, it's not enough. You're going to jail. She's serving a 3-year sentence right now as we speak. Steady Wale, he owned that farm in where? Choma, Southern Province. Worth how many? 20 million, 25 million kwacha that his case Chishimba Kambwili on. He forfeited that farm because he couldn't prove where his source of income was coming from. That's just two.
Wakalinda are behind on that one.
No. I'm not done yet. I'll let you guys talk. Let me finish. By Esther Lungu herself, $400,000 to her niece. She has all those properties that she had forfeited. The other daughter, Cheswe, she gave whatever her father she gave back to the government. The son with all those high-end vehicles. Come on now, people. Let's be serious. When we know that a Zambian president, thank you, HH, gets 40,000 kwacha a month. Who has all that money to be throwing around? 8 million here, 70 high-end luxury cars for your son, and the high-end mansions and houses and millions in banks. Side chicks getting 65 million. Give me a break. Give me a break when you have people in UTH without drugs. She needs to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I submit.
Can I come in now?
Yeah, you can
You,
come in.
you see, I have a strong difficulty for me. You see, when we use certain languages that we hear, which is not even verifiable, but we're using it. Number one, when you are able to use people that oh, he didn't come from Chawama. So in your government, it means that people from Chawama cannot ascend to presidency. Is that what you're telling the Zambians, that now when you're from Chawama, and this one is Bachanda who said it, but it just come from Chawama. So coming from Chawama should be an offense, should not entitle you to be president. or it's just to be a preserve of the people that are coming from Charara Community House. That I think is very, it's
No,
very
no,
demeaning.
that's a question. You're directing that question to me, right?
No, but you see what you can't use those words against
No,
somebody.
no, but you have asked me. Let me clarify what
No,
I
no,
was saying, because I
I'm
don't want you to
responding.
mislead the public.
I am responding to what you said. It is there, and
No,
people you can refer back to
yes,
it.
they can
You
revisit.
said
That's not exactly what I said.
Vachanda, you said he didn't come from Chawama.
Okay,
Did you say that?
okay, all right.
Your
Here's,
current president,
this is what.
who you are
Okay,
praising
Monen,
now,
before everything is confused, or before the
can I
trumpet is been
finish so
played.
that you are able to come in?
All right, finish.
Yes, because in your statement you said that we should be taking, we should be careful with people that we are putting in the office, like our president, the HH, who has a track record. He didn't just come from Chawama, and can't even go back to Chawama. That is very demeaning, in my opinion. Because when you use such kind of words, so it means like, the president, in my opinion, the way I'm interpreting it, it's like, the president should be a preserve of certain people, certain group of people, not Zambians that are honest, that have the best interest of the country at heart. If you come from Chawama, you don't have that interest at heart, isn't it? I don't subscribe to that myself. And second, you see, the issue of saying what we are talking about here is not about a person with money, with what? It is about protecting assets and national resources using the law, not using the feeling of yourselves who want to be positioned for some kind of probably leadership in UPND. Then you start saying, no, this is all knowing it. And statements like saying, the president is so good, is so what, is what makes our president power go to their head. It's because we fail to tell them when they are wrong, that this is not the right way to do it. And this place worshiping without checks to say, we like you, we love you to the depth of our love, but this is wrong. There's nothing that you guys talk about which is wrong. Everything that is wrong, you just cover that up. And through that, ECL has to be on trial every day. Even when he's not in office right now. It's like he has to be on trial, his family on trial. When are we going to try out people like Shamakamba? When are we going to try out people like Tabo Kawan and the hospital in Central African Republic that has disappeared? When are we going to be talking about those? So I think let's be clear with what we say and be careful with the wording that we use as we discuss.
Are you finished?
All right, Vachilufa, you answer him.
So, Machina Monen, me, when I said, when somebody comes from Chawam, I didn't, it's not a general statement that any individual who's coming from Chawama, that should be the case. I'm specifically talking about one ECL.
But you just withdraw what you said there. It's not right.
No. Don't put words in my mouth. Okay. So it is my time now to clarify things. Let me clarify things. Okay. You've been speaking. We let you run. But now, this is my clarification. When I was giving that example, to say we need to state a standard when it comes to presidency. Okay. Now, I did not generalize to say anybody that comes from Chawama, this should be like this. No. I was talking to one individual, one ECL, who came from. Didn't he come from Chawama? Yes, he came from Chawama. Okay. Everybody, we know that he came from Chawama. Okay. HH, didn't he grow up in the village? He grew up in the village. Everybody knows that. Okay. And what did he do? He rose through the ranks. He was walking barefoot to school. He got free education. He was at University of Zambia. He started his own business and he was working in the corporate world for years. That's how he made his money. Same thing about Lungu. All we don't know his history, which village, maybe it's in Petauke or wherever. Nobody really traces really which village it is, really. Yeah, because his friends were saying that what we stizi papamunzi pape vachoka valungu stizi ni part. But that's besides the case. We know he came from Chawama. We know that he was a well-known a lawyer. Okay, top notch. according to his own word, top-notch lawyer. That's how he made his money, right? According to him, when he was being interviewed for the world to see, he said it from his own mouth. It's not me saying it. He said he was a top-notch lawyer, and that's how he made his money. This question came up. Journalists have been asking him, how did you make your money? He said, I was a top-notch lawyer. Okay, I was handling big cases. That's how I made my money. But when you come to Zambia, there are people that are saying, this man stole my money. The court records are there for you to go and verify if you want, Vakazia. And I took him to court because I wanted my money back. Okay? And then his license was what? He lost his license because of that case. So how top-notch was that? After losing the license, he was no longer a lawyer. Then he joined politics. Okay? And he started from the structures. When he started from the structures, all of a sudden, you know, I don't know what Vashkuru was thinking at that point of day and night, but decided to name him to be a leader, to be a successor. Okay? In the years coming, from Vashimbagambiri was even saying himself, Kamoto Kabaleja Nikara 4. Nakatampo kupita hapa. Yeah. Kuti mwamona. Kale fuka ne chush. Okay? Those are the description of his fellows, his friends, describing to us. Okay? Teinene ulelanda iyo. Family is there on social media. Okay? I'm just interpreting what people, the fellows, are saying. His friends, his conglomerates. Abantu abakwati, they were one-on-one with him. You know? Sometimes that they would just find him drunk. When he was practicing law, Vasanga was saying it, according to Vasanga himself. He was saying, I'm even embarrassed myself.
Is there anywhere to raise a hand or something? No?
Yeah, you can raise a hand. You want to join in?
I think we are losing track of what we are here for. This rendition
Exactly, Wadani.
of Lungu and other people discussing his career and all that kind of stuff. We all know it is in public record, and we all know what kind of
But
person he is.
you see, Vakazia was trying to say
No,
that
Vakazia took it very
demeaning-
emotional. We
I'm
saw that,
demeaning
but
people
let's
from-
move on.
Yeah, I'm
And there's
demeaning
a
people
reason
from
why I
Chawama.
took
I'm not
it emotional.
demeaning anybody from Chawama.
Mama, there's a way that I took it. It was the way it was presented.
All
It
right, can
wasn't
we
that I
move
just
on
wanted to
now?
put it
Gentlemen, let's move
If it was
on. We
presented the
have
way
the
it was,
myriad
it
of
would have been
topics to
different.
talk about. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's rest this case and let the courts do what they need to
Yeah,
do.
we have a lot of business to handle. Let's move on to the next
Let's
one.
move on. Let's move on. That's enough on that. So, and again, the next topic is going to. Oh my goodness. Oh, because yeah, he's gonna be happy about this one. He's been asking about it forever. Finally, Education PS Kamoko got his boot this past week. Most people are saying it's because of the video that went viral. I think I saw that video from my lovely dog husband. He forwarded to me last Sunday. So he got the boot last week from serving as PS. You know, and as we know, the president will never tell you why he was fired, but social media was all hands on deck, saying he was fired because of the drunk interview he did at ZNBC last week. Gentlemen, let me start with Bakazia because he was very passionate about Mr. Kamoko being fired. Go ahead, Bakazia.
Yeah. By the way, that is the letter we all receive when you are fired by it's a standard letter.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you do, no matter what they write in the same way. Yeah. Even if you are innocent, they will write the same way. Even if you are guilty, they write in the same way. They never put a reason why someone is terminated. For me, I think it was long overdue. Because for me, it wasn't even something that he said on that program. Because people took that as to be a very big problem. It wasn't for me. because maybe he was just caught at the wrong moment, and then he says stuff, and even when he says he had a problem or was sick, which I can agree that he might have been sick when he was presenting himself on ZNBC. So I don't take it that he was drunk there, although obviously that is what has come up. Most people say he was drunk. That aside, for me, what was very cardinal is his involvement in the procurement process at Ministry of Education. That is where he should have been dealt with a long time. You remember what I've been speaking about? It's the same guy like the one who's at the local government. You know, those people have the same procedures. The ambulances are not yet delivered. No one is talking about them. It's quiet. The next thing is the things like the Livingston mayor, who is arrested, and then the Minister of Local Government says, I'm not suspending. You know, those are things that, for me, border on serious integrity of the government, and especially when it comes like that, the president must prevail over the minister. If the minister can't act, remove him from there. Because you cannot be shielding crime like that. Kamoko was being shielded when he was committing those crimes. The same crime, his friend was arrested, and he was still retaining in office. What was that? So for me, it's a question of, if there is a serious breach, 3 million is not it's not small money, it's a lot of money for you to play around with and float the procedures like you don't know, when the Ministry of Education has all the strong institutions around it. So the local government PS needs to go as well, in line with the ambulances and the procurement process. I need to see that happen as well. And also the Livingston mayor as well must follow suit. I submit.
I think that you cannot fire the Livingston mayor. Isn't she voted by the public? I'm thinking you can't fire her. If she's elected.
She can be suspended.
That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. But the suspension is not there. It says that she should take her leave. Why?
Okay, Bakazia, you've digressed us. We're not talking about Livingston mayor.
I'm just giving an example.
We're talking about.
But yeah, I was just giving an example of the process.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
about me about Livingston yes, to be that. That's
yeah,
the
we're
topic of
talking
another day.
about the firing of PS Kamoko. Yeah, let's go to Doc. Your comment on Mr. Kamoko losing his job.
Yeah, Mr. Kamoko losing his job, I was very disappointed to hear that, in a sense that I know Joe Kamoko from way then, when we were at University of Zambia. He was a different man, and I knew him as a Bible carrying person who one time came to my room trying to convert me to Christianity. Very straight guy. But to see him doing all sorts of things, that's very disappointing. I was very disappointed. But yeah, it's when you do something wrong, we should be disciplined. Now, for according to my friend Kazia here, he mentioned something to do with the not following the regulations. I don't know how you call the regulations, financial, whatever, in this procurement process in the government. When we look at that, Chandakazia, we can fire almost a lot of permanent secretaries, so to speak. I listened to that parliamentary, what do they call that, parliamentary thing, financial, whatever. Yeah, in Parliament. Almost each and every department that is summoned there, it has so many problems in our institutions. Things are not going right. And that's why I was saying that committee, they find out a lot of things, but nothing is done. Joe Kamoko appeared in front of that, before that committee, and that's when most of us learned about him not following the regulations of giving that IT contract computer stuff to the Ministry of Education. But if we go to that committee, or even the FIC report, there are numerous mismanagement of our resources as a country. And I just wonder why actions are not taken against those officers. There's a lot that is exposed by that committee and the FIC report. And I'm just disappointed that the powers that are in charge of some of these departments that do nothing. Nothing. And this has been going on for years and years. The FIC report, year in, year out, exposes a lot of mismanagement of our resources in our country. And yet, there are no repercussions for those officers. It's very, very saddening, really. Very, very saddening. Thank you.
Great. Dr. Chikonka, you next.
I don't know much about this gentleman. I saw a clip on what did I see on the UPND group
Mm-hmm.
about his interview. I have to be very honest with you all. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know. I could not tell if he was drunk or not. I just didn't think like this. He was coherent. He was speaking just fine, but he seemed a little bit weird. But he was not slurred, and his coordination of thoughts were just fine to me. Maybe it was a short clip, but then I heard that there was all this like outrage of the fact that he went drunk on the ZNBC channel interview and things like that. As far as procurement stuff, like I'm not very privy to things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
other than that, I just don't know what to take of it. I'm like, well, if he made a mistake, but sometimes people take things just too far. Maybe there was just other underlying reasons why they had removed him. But from that little clip of interview I saw, uh, I don't know what to take of it.
No,
I just don't
those,
know.
those of us who know him, that's not his normal voice anyway. He's got a smaller voice than that, and he doesn't speak that way. No, not at
Okay,
all.
that's right. So I don't know much about him. So, like I said, so maybe you can tell like that wasn't correct. You're right. I don't know anything much about it. So yeah, I guess the action taken against him, was appropriate. And you see, that's one thing I recommend our leadership or president of the country currently is that they do react to certain things like that. I do remember he had warned all these ambassadors and the high commissioners in other places. I believe that they're last ones to be leaving the parties, or they're drunk all the time, and it's typical for Zambians to be drinking like that. Even here, we have some people that just like really do things like that. But then he warned them, and then he started taking action. And I think that is a really good thing that he takes action. But compared to our previous leadership, I mean, it was, free for all. They would join in the parties and things like that. Everybody was doing the same thing.
Party
But
after party.
yeah, our president does not play games like that. So it's a good thing to kind of show force that if you do something, trust me, I'm gonna get rid of you, and somebody else will take that spot. And I think it's a good example that's going on. Hopefully, I mean, he may not be able to control or correct a lot of things, but most of the major things, I think, he's heading the right direction. So that's really what it is that I can tell you about it.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, speaking as a journalist, I think I really wouldn't blame P.S. Kamoko. I would blame the person who was interviewing him and the producer. When they saw him walk into the interviewing room, they should have just said, well, you know what? We cannot afford you being going on air in the state that you're in. Can we just reschedule, find somebody else to interview who is sober? Anything. So I don't blame him per se. Speaking from a professional point of view, I blame the director of programs at ZNBC, his producer, and the interview the person who was interviewing him. They made a mistake. They shouldn't have. And if I was the boss at ZNBC, I would be punishing those because they just brought the national broadcaster to unnecessary, I would say ridicule in public.
Yeah,
For
that's what Frank Mtuvila said as well. Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
Vakalinda,
So
Max
anyway,
I
Lufia,
can
you come
protect,
let,
in.
can I
let
protect
me add on
ZNBC
this
on
one.
that?
Yeah, come in, Max Lufia.
Hold on, because you are the one actually who was, preaching for the longest time, just like Vakalinda was saying. You've been preaching for the longest time to say, why is Vakamoko still there? Why is he not fired? And you've been asking that question for so many times for some reasons other than that clip. And that clip clearly indicates, um, you know, uh, somebody wasn't in the right mind, obviously. Like really, I don't know about Mitch if you didn't see it, but
What if you speak up? We can't hear you.
hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is this: Van Mitch, he didn't see anything wrong, but it's clear. It's clear. Me when I look at that video, the guy was like the way he was slurring words. Like he couldn't, say one thing and say it right. He was always couldn't follow what he was saying. He was incoherent. So epo vantu vamweni vanti uyu muntu ninji kanji. That's why that video circulated that way, right? Because it's I don't know whether it was right or it was something else. Who knows? But he wasn't like people that know him. That's not the way he talks. Okay. So if somebody goes on radio, national television, for the world to see, and you don't present yourself like your normal self, and then people are going to question to say, wait, that's not the way he behaves. That's not the way he acts. That's not the way he talks. But the question mark there to say, look, some people are saying, oh, it's a medical condition. That's how it is. That's all the things I'm hearing now. Or that's how it is now. That's the way he talks. I'm like, I don't know if that argument is going to be accepted, but good luck on that one, right? But the president himself has put his foot down to say he's going to put the right people in the right positions. And if you misbehave, you do something wrong, you are the last person to leave the party, and they have to carry you in a wheelbarrow, and then you're going to be fired. They'll put somebody else. Okay, so those are the issues. There, in terms of procurement systems and all that stuff, we all know that the government system is the worst. It's rotten. Like procurement system in the government is the worst, and we know there's been pilferage in the people have gotten rich purchasing for a long time. Okay, because of having all these illegal deals, people they will form up their own. I think I even sent it in the last thing. They'll form up a company, a ghost company, and they put you as a proxy. But the guy is the purchasing manager. He even knows the deals, and he gives you say, no, you this is the company you're going to be there. You just you're the one who's supplying those things. He's the guy that is there. He even knows which products are needed. Using a proxy company. It's been done in government system for years and years. That's how people are rich right now. They've got houses, mansions everywhere in Lusaka. Purchasing. It's not a hidden secret. Everybody knows about this. I rest my case.
Great. Shall we move on? We have so many topics to tackle. How about we talk about Kana MP Binwell Mpundu's latest, I call it a political stunt, where he announced this past week that he will stand in 2026. The question is, whose party is going to allow him to stand? Is he forming a political party this year? Is he going to Tonse? When we know Tonse is embroidered in all kinds of wrangles and divisions, so we don't even know who is going to stand in Tonse, because already we know that Calab had also declared his candidature. Who else is in Tonse? Oh God, I don't know. It's a combination of what I call a briefcase political parties, because
It changes every day.
it changes every day. You don't know. So, gentlemen, Binwell's announcement this week. How do you make of it? Let's start with you, my handsome doc in Puerto Rico.
All right, Binwell.
Mm-hmm.
Binwell has, to me, I was one of his admirers when he started as a young member of parliament. He was talking sense all the time in parliament, and I like that. But recently, he seems to have lost direction, and he seems just to be wanting to talk, to comment on every little thing that's happening in the country. Similar, the same as what's the Mwamba type of criticism. Mwamba cannot just, now he's not in the country. I don't know whether he's come back, but when he's in Zambia, every day he has to write an article about something and all that. It loses you lose trust or whatever in such type of people. I've stopped reading Mwamba's articles now because they don't make sense. And so goes with Binwell. Is it Binwell? So the guy was a very good. I like the two of them when the JJ and him, when they were in parliament, they seem to have had some independent way of thinking, and they were not aligning themselves with any political party, and they would just speak their mind. And most of the time, it was very, very. They had valid reasons for speaking like that in parliament. But now, no, he has become something else, and I don't admire him anymore. He liked to criticize where even there's no criticism. I think it's everything that the government does, he wants to comment about it, something like that. So and sometimes, most of the time actually, he doesn't have even enough facts, no facts. He's one of these people that will just hear something and then comes to parliament and put it across as if it's their facts. So, and he's the one, by the way, who brought in the 2.8 billion you're talking about that you have no idea. That's his thing. He brought it in parliament and he said 2.5 billion has been taken to Nicaragua or whatever in South America, whatever. So that's what Chandagazia is talking about. It's him who said that statement in parliament, asking the minister of finance and stuff. So I've lost trust in him, and I don't admire him anymore. So if he wants to stand, he's a citizen, he can stand. But I don't know how many followers he's going to get, how much support he's going to get across the country. He's lost direction as a young, brilliant young man to rise as a politician in Zambia in the future years.
All right, our beloved resident PS.
I think, like Dana said, he has a right to stand when he wants to. But I also have not lost respect for him. Actually, he has gained for me because he's asking critical questions that is making government think about their decisions and questioning them with facts, and then they fail to at times answer, and at times they resort to threats. So for me, his questioning is on point. He is one of those voices that can be trusted to ask government. The rest in parliament, most of them have resorted to going with the flow. Even if they know what is wrong, they keep quiet about it. Even if they are given an answer which is not satisfactory, they are quiet. So for Binwell, for me, I would tell him to continue, be able to actually put government in the serious checks and balances, ask them about 2 billion, ask them about the shares, ask them about the new investment in the mines and stuff like that. Ask them about literally everything. That is his role in parliament, is to question government so that government can actually deliver on its expectations. The problem that has been found is that the government of UPND came with a certain expectation and certain pronouncements that were said clearly. And that is why when they are played, they are not very juicy for the people that are in government right now. They are very frustrating. They are very, very, it's like you are poking the bears because of what they said. But to remind you, President Chiluba said once that be careful what every word matters, because these words come to haunt you in future. And that is what haunts most of some of the leaders that are in government right now. It's when one leader says this, and then the next time is reminded to say, but you said this. And then the person who is reminding you is seen to be a villain and immediately loses favor with government. But you see, losing favor with government should not be able to scare members of parliament. It must be able to strengthen them to know that government indeed will be held accountable and be able to deliver on the promises that they make to the people. If no one is taking them to account, they will literally do anything they want. without any form of fear. Right now, they know that everyone is watching. And the advent of social media, which UPND actually used very well when they were coming into power, it is the same social media that people are using to actually play back what was said, how it was said, what was said. Me and Dan always go after each other because I would send him the videos of the past, and they will tell me off. He tells me off when I do that, and I have no problem being told off. But I just remind him to say, this is what was said on such a day. What is being done right now? So the question is that government needs to be held to account, and Bino is doing the right work. He doesn't need validation from the current government. No, if the current government starts validating you to say, "Oh, I'm a very good person in opposition," then something is wrong. Like Chiluba said, the moment you see the foreigner starts to praise me, then you should know that I've betrayed you. That is the same way in politics it is. The moment you see a government in sitting starts to praise the opposition, then you know the opposition is dead. The mandate is done, is completely done. You can as well take them out. Is to ask government and ask for clarity, ask for explanation, ask and ask and ask, because you are not doing it for personal good, you are doing it on personal for the goodness of the people of Zambia. As if he can, as to be president, it's a different ball game. I don't see that happening, but it can happen. Who knows? But it is right to see that happen.
All right. All right. All right. All right. Oh, Dr. Chigonka, your comment on Binwa's presidential aspiration.
This is very interesting. I think Binwa, I've just come across some of the things that he has said in Parliament and other things that he has said. It seemed to be, um, you know, an uprising. He used to seem like an uprising star in PF. Isn't that a PF guy from Kitwe? Yes. So I thought maybe that was they have some people like him that can pretty much assume some kind of leadership in the PF and get better. And yeah, I'll just give a different take on this. I feel like you said, my sister, about briefcase politicians,
Mm-hmm.
briefcase presidents.
Mm-hmm.
The thing, a lot of us Zambians, or most Zambians that seem to aspire to these high offices, really lose track of what they should do.
Mm-hmm.
I feel personally, like, I think most of them they should probably have taken a playbook from what UPND did. UPND could have been dismantled a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
way back during Mazoka's time.
Mm-hmm.
After all those losses and stuff like that, they just still contained themselves. They still held on together and kept moving as a unit. Many of these politicians, these PFers and coming out, coming out of government and stuff. All these young people like Mpondo and them, they could have just mobilized and held together and hold some kind of people in there, some kind of faction that to continue holding on to the party and doing that, and eventually rise into leadership to challenge anybody
Mm-hmm.
who's there. But what they do, like you can see right now, him almost certain that he will probably not even stand as PF, or maybe you just drop out and become some kind of a green party or whatever, one of these little parties that they make and I mean expect to be elevated into presidency for like that. I mean, you have no exploration team that has gone around the country to do that. You already have a platform that you have. So why not unite every other people within the party that have the same mindset and then go with that cohort in order to continue holding on to the party, keep moving, and maybe become stronger and challenge whoever is there for you. But I don't see him succeeding. I think the idea that he has dropped off to get to be just because he feels like he can speak better or speak fluently like than most people, and assume that he's going to be getting some leadership of or something to become a president. I think he's really like just basically killing his own career as a politician. I think it's a wrong move.
Yeah, Vajigonga is not the PF, he's independent.
Okay,
But
he's
he
independent.
aligns.
Yeah.
He
He
aligns
aligns
with
with
Well,
PF.
PF.
I think.
But Chinuka, you come in.
Yeah. But Binwell, right now, I think he's got a nickname. Kasongo waya wayo.
Oh my
That's his
goodness.
nickname. That's his nickname in Parliament now. That's his nickname in Parliament. This is Kasongo. You know, so he's a lost sheep. Okay, if you remember those stories that we used to say, lost sheep, where are you? I am here, I'm not lost. Lost sheep, where are you? I am here, I'm not lost. Real sheep here, have been well. He just there's no proper stance because him himself is coming up to say, "Oh, I'm building an organization." He's not saying a party, a following called the HRI, right? But
We can't hear you, Achimfene.
Tamulengumfa, okay. So what he's saying is he's building a HRI party. All right? Am I audible?
You know, Mule, you can like the first two words we can hear you, and then you go down. Like
Yeah, you keep going in and
the
out.
energy.
Okay, hold on. Let me fix this. Okay, you guys
I
continue. Let me
told
fix
you
this.
Huawei is a problem. Okay, I guess as we wait for Bachir to do his mic, let me just highlight this comment. I think I lost it. Kaz. He's saying the promise as free education they have delivered. The promise to reopen the mind they have indeed opened. The promise to restructure the day they have indeed delivered. I personally believe not all can be done at the same time. Despite the drought last year, I can tell you that the economy has remained resilient. There's Mr. Kaz. There's Mr. Kaz. Comment, and then he comes back says I see nothing positive with Kana MP presidential ambition. There you have it. Who wants to ride on that comment as we wait on
I think you see one of the things that there's always a starting point. Maybe trying to start a starting point. Because you know, one of the things that also has been quite a disappointment, and our country really, is this way of not holding people accountable for what they say when they're in opposition and when they get into leadership. It's like when you are president, in opposition, you can say anything. And in government, you can say anything. And the entire cohort of the people that are surrounding, you must say yes. They must support that. Even what you know that it is wrong to support it. It's a problem. And that's one of the things that Bini was stating to, to the people. Because one thing that has been a very problem, the challenge for UPND, you guys, I can tell you, you supporters of UPND, I will tell you on this forum, the blind patriotism at times that you carry. You carry at times a blind patriotism where when there is something wrong, instead of unanimously saying, this is not the vision of the party, this is not what president you said you would do. You are doing it wrong. You would find a way of intellectually rationalizing it to make it look good or make it be understandable.
Okay, so can I come in now? Can you hear me now?
Can I finish the example? The example, if I may be allowed, my chair. Can I? So the example I would give, I don't want to give examples of things that are not there. I want to just use typical examples. There is Director General of SCC. He resigned. What was it? He was procuring judgments, consent judgments. Clearly saw that. Where did he take the money he procured? Who was he working with? Why are these people not before courts? You have a good case of a hospital disappearing in Central African Republic. When people raise it, raise it.
In conclusion,
What do you do guys? You keep quiet about it. You want everyone not to talk about it. In conclusion, what Benue is coming out to be is exactly how a young politician must be. He has a future to go for because he is speaking on things that he so wishes, and he has the courage to stand up to the government. Or most of the youth have just bent into that. When Nyambose and others, they are there now, they've joined UPND, but they are PF and others. So, it's there, they are there, it's their right to join and do what they want. So, let's see how the future holds for him.
Right, Chilufia, come in now.
Yeah. Okay. Is this better now?
Yes.
So, like I was saying, Vakasongo, as is popular, that's his nickname now in Parliament, um, is a lost sheep. Okay, he doesn't know where he stands because he started off as an independent, like everybody is saying. They started with Najeje Banda, they were best friends, independent views and everything. But at this stage where he's reached now, is a lost sheep because intel that I have is going is very soon is joining the Tonsi Alliance. Very soon, you're going to hear an announcement in the next coming weeks. He's joining. If he hasn't, in fact, he has even joined already. That's why you're seeing all these things. If you see some politician, they start from their norm that we know them from, and then they start doing all these machinations and everything. Just know Tonsi Alliance, PF is behind it. So that's where he is. And I can tell you one thing: if you're an independent member of parliament, and just look at the way he behaved in the last sitting, very, very unprofessional. He was trying to go and approach the other member of parliament. You move from your seat, you walk around, and you're trying to like fight your like. Really? Are you sure? Is that how you're going to be behaving? Because that's the norm of the party that we're not going to mention that we know. That's how they do their business anyway. But being a political leader or a president, yeah, that's I don't think that's something that I don't know. First, he needs to first of all work on himself as a member of parliament before somebody can start believing in him. Because to be a president is not a small thing. You have to have people that believe in you. But if you're flip-flopping, if you're a lost sheep, you don't know whether today you're Tonse, tomorrow you're in the independent, the other day you're PF, the other day where are you? Right? There's no proper right direction on where you lead your followers. It's a confusion.
Let me just put on
So
just respond to
no,
that.
this is my time. But you've been talking. So Banan Binu Mpundu needs to sit down first of all and re-evaluate himself whether he wants to continue being an independent member. Checks and balances, yes, we accept checks and balances, but checks and balances should have a meaning. Okay, you just don't create fake checks and balances or just confusion questions. Just to pull out there, just to sound like you're relevant, or create a question or a narrative that is not even right. You as a member of parliament, you have access to a lot of government documents. One thing I was disappointed with him, they asked him, he was on TV or radio, they asked him a question. Why in your constituency, you haven't utilized CDF? He said CDF is not what people think it is. CDF is not working. And the reason he gave was this. One, I have to build, I don't know if it's a road or a bridge that's going to cost me whatever millions of kwacha. And in the other constituency, it's going to cost me this. And I'm looking like, this man, you're just mentioning huge projects, right? What about small projects? Start from small. Why you want to build the big projects, right? What about small projects? Start with those small projects first. Let's see what you can do with your CDF with small projects in the community, so that people in your community can access those funds. How many people, how many children, vulnerable people did you send to college in your constituency, right? That's what CDF is for. It's not about talking about the huge project. I need to build a big road, a huge bridge. It's going to cost me this billions of. I'm like, so CDF is not enough for me. That's why it's not working. I'm like, this minister, there's something really wrong with him, or he's being told what to say, or he doesn't love his people. Because if he loved his people, he would go in the communities.
In conclusion,
In conclusion, just like any other member of parliament, just like any other person, like Sunday Chand, you go to his constituency, everybody's happy. Okay? Because they utilize the little money that is there and everybody's benefiting. Yeah? But Maveta has actually combined, from his fellows, his friends, who actually even the PF, the guys, can we combine our CDF? Iwe niwe PF na nene UPND na iwe niwe PF. Let's combine our CDF because we're the same locality. Let's put our CDF together and let's utilize that money to benefit our people. Ekubomba. Not kula saba ila pipa kula saba I submit.
great, Doc. Chigonka, you had an interjection there. Come through.
Yeah, so I apologize for not knowing that if he was independent, because many times I hear about him, was that I thought he was aligning more with the PF doctrine, so I thought he was a PFer. Anyway, having said that, I mean, I think that thing that people are saying is a lost sheep. It may be true, and obviously being independent. I think one of my cousins, Jamba, Jamba, Wakachinda, the Wakainda,
Yeah, he's our
the guy.
MP. Yeah.
He was MP. He was independent as well at some point for the longest time actually, and it's really easy to get lost in in the wilderness if you're an independent, because sometimes you're just completely sidelined. But of course, this guy tries to do things to show some relevance more so than others. What's his name? Binwell. So having said that, again, he's an enterprising young man. So I feel like maybe if he belonged to some kind of formidable party, he would do something. So maybe just maybe he joins this Tonse thing going on. He may be one of them in the Tonse that will have a strong voice that he may actually lead and become even better relevant than he is right now. But to go on his own, which I feel like is a direction he may go, and maybe create a new party to go ahead, is just political suicide. He should just really join up somebody else and then show some relevance there. I'm sure most
Right.
people welcome him. That's what I wanted to say.
Oh,
I
for
agree
me, I
with you,
have
Wajibo.
nothing to say. Shall we just move on to conversation? Shall we? No, no. I have nothing to say on Bino Pundi because I mean I don't see his relevance. I don't see anything new he's bringing onto the to the Zambian developmental agenda or political. I don't see it. So I have nothing to say about that. Now let's talk about the most exciting news that came out of the motherland this past week. It's the Commerce Minister Mlenga Chipoka announcing to the nation that finally we have started the production of electric batteries in Zambia. Gentlemen, isn't that exciting news? Because I see my brothers and sisters finally getting hopefully some skilled jobs and well-paying jobs, and graduating from poverty to middle class. Something positive finally after a year of looking at the dangers of drought and everything else that came with the past year. Shall we start with you, my handsome doc in Puerto Rico? The news on
Oh yeah,
electric
Chipoka Mulenga. The
uh-huh.
comments. First of all, I love my minister Chipoka Mulenga. He's a very smart guy. I love him. I listen to him on many fora when he gives a speech. He's a very, very smart minister. I hope he stays in that ministry for a long time. I think he's great for that position. Yes, he announced the production lines. Is that the Chongwe plant, the one owned by the Chinese investors? Yeah, it started producing. Actually, one of my relatives back home has just been employed by that same place. It's a very good thing, and this is just the start of the many good things to come. I know that this is just the fourth year in leadership, in power by the UPND government, but I can see the foundation that the UPND is laying down. we will start seeing a lot of fruits very soon, and this is a sign of yet a lot of good things to come. I know the opposition are talking about they want things now. They want everything now in the 3 years. You promised everything in 3 years. You know, that's the talk of Tonse and all that type of thing. So they know very well that there's very little you can achieve. You can't lay the foundation within the 3 years and start seeing the fruits. But what we are seeing now, it's I think the budding or the of our plants that we have been planting. So I think this is a very good sign for yet a lot of good things to come. So kudos to our government. When things are good, we have to say it, regardless of whether we were PF or we were serving the PF government. Please, let's acknowledge when good things are happening. And the other thing I've heard from Tonse, why are people laughing?
Sorry.
I'm still talking. I've heard some people, the Tonse Alliance, I call them Tonse because some of them don't even have Tonse. I don't know whether they're even party memberships for Tonse yet. I don't know. So I just call them Tonse sympathizers. They talk about, oh, these industries have come, but they don't belong to us. They belong to Chinese people. We want our own. We want our own. Not that's the talk I hear a lot from Tonse sympathizers. But
don't say don't. Just say it is me who's been having a conversation with you on that particular matter. Why
you're not the only one.
Just
You're not the only one.
just say it.
I talk to so many people. Okay, I don't mention names in conversations myself. I'm not that. I didn't mention your name, P.S. Chandagazia. I didn't. So yeah, so that is something that I always. So the Tonse sympathizers say, when we talk about, the mine here has opened, or this has opened in Gwembe now, Gwembe Valley, there's going to be something huge opening up soon. You have seen this power plant in Mamba. Yeah? There's a new power plant that's opening, and they have started recruiting. Hundreds of our young people are going to be recruited. It has come out in the newspaper. The advert is out for engineers, technicians, and all this type of stuff. So whenever they see that, they will say, no, this is nothing. We want our own, Zambian owned. It's very sad to see this type of talk from our fellow Zambians. I know, always say this, that we will start from somewhere. We don't have a lot of money to start these huge industries on our own. Our economy is quite weak. Remember, it was destroyed for a long time. We're rebuilding it. Let's start getting capital slowly, but in the end, we'll start owning our own industries and our own factory. But for now, I think this is the best we can do. Our president calls it what? A private partnership, something? That's the best we can do, and get the taxes and do that, and then build from there. But just to say, no, we want to build our own factories from scratch, owned by Zambians, I don't think that's a very fair thing to expect from the government. That's so. Thank you.
Great. The resident PS. Your comment on
yeah. I think any development in a country is good. It's not like every kind of development must be condemned. You know, it shouldn't be that way. And nobody, me, I am a sympathizer for Tonse. I've been labeled in this forum and I've accepted it. Even if I try to say, no, I speak from objectively, it cannot work. It doesn't fly with your colleagues, and I'm okay with that. Now, the question for me, not for I don't speak for Tonse, I'm not a spokesperson for Tonse, but these are questions that I raised in the conversation. The conversation that I've had is that ownership of anything that shareholding in business. If you want to be an owner of something, to own something, it's shareholding. You can't have foreigners come and own 100% of your key sectors that generate the wealth for the country, 100% foreign owned. And when we say no, let's deal with shareholding, and then deliberately there is an interpretation to say we are saying that no, there should be no room for foreigners in the country. I don't know why we would interpret that when the statement is so clear that we need to have a majority shareholding. The majority shareholding meaning that we can have 51% and any foreign entity getting 49%. And given the management structure and everything else, because when we start to share profits, we will share in that line. A typical example is what has happened to FPM, and the Minister of Finance answered it in the way that should open our eyes. What did he say? He said the 2.5 billion that was externalized to Panama, government had already gotten its taxes from it. So what they do with that money is there, it's not the government to make a decision on. And I agree with him. If they've paid us their taxes, and then they've paid our workers, they've done everything, all the costs have been taken, and now they've made 2.5 billion for their shareholders. Shareholders decide where the money goes, it's not us. So imagine how much money did they make for them to declare a profit of 2.5 billion and be able to externalize it. Imagine if we had 40% share in that 2.5 billion. Zambia would have been better off. So when people come into the country, the resources are here. That is the first step point that we have. Without the resources, they can never show up. So we have the shareholding starting from the resources themselves. They give us the negotiating power about the shareholding when a person wants to bring a company here. We will tell them, no, you cannot be majority shareholding. In these countries where things are happening well for their indigenous citizens, it is where the agreements are on shareholding on 50 or 49, 51%. For those that are not critical, you must have shares. You cannot give away what you own and say, oh, they will just be employing. No country can develop from employment taxes. There is no country that will develop using employment numbers. You will develop based on how much you are getting from your resources when all operations are done, how much money is going to the reserve. Surely, we are talking about employment taxes for people that are getting $100 a month. The miners there that are there now, they've reduced from $500. Now they are $200 a month. That is what they are getting. All the foreigners that come in there get $7,000, $8,000 per month and they are gone. But then when we're having a conversation, we have a conversation like, oh, these are the only people that will have solutions. They do not have, they know that when they come and they dangle a carrot in our face, we jump on it. Businessmen, politicians are the ones that are leading all this. And especially for the current government colleagues. These colleagues are very good professional businessmen, nicely. And then they are politicians on top of that. So when we talk about public-private partnership, they are the private. They are
In
the private.
conclusion,
So my view about shareholding, my view about how we need to move going forward is that we must deal with the shareholding structure of anyone coming in. Employing engineers in Gwembe Valley and paying them 5,000 kwacha can never develop the entire region that is there. There is nothing that will come. They will get the money, externalize it. We need to wake up and change the shareholding for anyone stepping his foot in our country. We don't need to have money to do that. We have money which is already in the resources that they're targeting. So I submit the opening of a battery in Zomba. I was just checking out that this has been created up by Chinese government. The China Jiangxi International Economic and Technical Company is the one that is created the multi-facility zone. And again, you should also be able to see where the interests are. What are they putting in there? They are putting their companies there, changing the shareholder structures. Yes, there will be jobs of minimum wage 1,600, and we are busy celebrating about it. We need to look at the shareholding. I submit.
great. Let's move on. Doc Shigonka, your comment on our electric batteries being produced in Zambia. Finally.
Well, It's again, Bakazia is not wrong. I think that's an aggressive rendition of something. It's not wrong about asking really what is it that we are getting out, and obviously, are we is this shareholding petition fair? So I think those are the areas. As much as all these people are coming to do business in our country, I think the most important thing is to figure out how much are they leaving behind. And I think examples they gave, if they're accurate, unless they're just imaginations, are correct. Especially giving if the people are getting $100 a month, and you expect to get taxes from there and use that to develop yourself, I think it would take so many decades to get anywhere you want. But we have the resources. It's true. And then the other thing that we should be maybe proud of in some way is the idea that yes, these companies are now coming into our country and now starting to um, create employment. We were in the 80s, 90% unemployment rate in Zambia, to this day. So now people are going to they're going to try and get into some kind of gainful employment. Some people have never even tested it and in their adulthood yet, you know. So it's just a good thing to see that there will be something in that nature where people start getting to work and feedback in the economy and things moving and stuff. It is true that at the end of the day, we want to make sure that enough is left over for our country to use for the future than just having like a day-to-day activity that has no promise of the future.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in some sense I'm grateful that we have something coming up like that, and that's a really good thing. Hopefully, there'll be much more coming up, and then maybe they can discuss those kind of petitions, as the deals keep going. Hopefully, that's I believe.
Great, great, valid points there. In Dr. Liswaniso's words, or his voice, I think it's all just the beginning. Right, Lucia, your comment.
Um, so a lot of things are being said, but I think the main topic I think we've lost track is the plant that has been commissioned, the Zesco solar plant, right?
You've lost it.
Where are we?
We are talking about the new electric batteries that are being
It's
produced
in Chongwe, Chongwe.
in Chongwe.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. The new electric. Yeah, yeah. So, well, I think that's a topic that we've been discussing for so many weeks, and we all know that we have the components and the materials and the raw materials needed to produce those batteries. And right now, I think I saw Vachipoka Mulenga. He was on TV or news or radio the other day. He even put up the battery itself, said made in Zambia, which is good for us. Okay, so if these batteries they go anywhere, sold anywhere in our neighboring countries, they find a battery made in Zambia. They start thinking to themselves, "Oh, Zambia is now producing these things, all right?" Which is a plus for us. So we have now the capability, we have the capacity, and we have the technology and everything is being put in. But when it comes to investor, when an investor comes in, they bring all this knowledge and all these plans and stuff, and profit sharing, and how does it look? How do the books look like? What is Zambia getting out of this? That's a deeper question and a deeper topic. But the president himself actually was talking about an issue where he was saying like we need to find, because the government has to have some certain a resource where they can be able to go and find money to invest in Zambia. We cannot just rely on our own resources that locally that we have. We should also start outsourcing resources. So if our credit rating in the world is saying Zambia, yeah, we cannot borrow them or we cannot lend them money at this percentage. It's saying what we need to work on the fairness for African countries, because we've been overtaxed, okay, in the past years. Most countries, when they go to find all those resources outside their own countries, you find that the interest rates are really, really high, okay, which is very unfair in a business setting, because we're saying, look, this is what we bring on the table. You're coming in with your resources. Let's find a way where we can meet halfway, at least, so it's a benefit for both, countries. Let's say China, Japan, Canada, and Zambia. You know.
Rachel, can you speak up? We can't hear.
Nanomba tamulengumva vaene.
Mwambo kumfika nomba.
Anyway, so for natural and I was saying, look, we need to find, like what the president himself was saying. We need to find a way in which it would be a win-win situation. Win-win situation when it comes to, borrowing money, because we need to go outside our own resources to find money to finance a lot of all these big projects. Okay, we cannot rely on just our own resources within Zambia. We should sometimes go outside. And when you go outside, let's say want to go and borrow money, the interest rates have been really, really, really high and unfair for most Zambia and all African countries. They've been really like it's something that it needs to be discussed, because we're saying, look, we have the necessary raw materials that you need to come in and tap in. But when we come there with that proposal, you're giving us all these high interest rates. Can we meet halfway? Where it's going to be beneficial for Zambia, it's going to be beneficial for Hong Kong, it's going to be beneficial for China, it's going to be beneficial for Japan. When we sit on the table, instead of choking us to a point where all these mining companies, they start running these mining conglomerates 100% at the end of the day. That's what the president is saying. We need to have those low rates, so that if it's a business, let it be a clear business. Let it be a 50%, 50-60, or whatever, 40-60. You know what I mean? But it should be beneficial to everybody. Okay. In the past, this wasn't happening. It was up in the air, and people blindly, because some leaders, they didn't understand how the business world works and how to go and negotiate these deals. They were just giving out mines and everything for free.
In
No.
conclusion,
In conclusion,
I need to respond to that.
In my conclusion, I'm saying we have now reached at a place where now we're linked. Of course, Zambia is linked. We're no longer a landlocked country. We're a linked country. So everything that's going to be produced in Zambia, including lithium batteries, lithium, all for different things, for cars, for scooters, for bikes. These are the things we need to start thinking. The kids, like here in Canada, you see kids. If I pack a scooter, is going to university. That's the level that we need to reach in Zambia. That's powered by lithium battery.
I've got some data about this company. If I want me to read it out.
go ahead.
Yeah, as of February 2025, the specific shareholding structure for this new electric vehicle battery plant in Zambia has not been publicly disclosed. The project is a collaborative effort between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Zambia and China. So there are three countries: Congo, Zambia, China, aiming at establishing special economic zones dedicated to the production of battery precursors as well as batteries, and in the long run, electric vehicles. The key stakeholders include Africa Export and Import Bank and the United Nations Economic Commissions for Africa, which are facilitating the projects as financial and technical partners, respectively. An operating company from China is planned to establish a consortium with both public and private investors from Zambia and Democratic Republic of Congo. That is the way it is. As it is now, it is Zambia, Congo, United Nations Economic Commissions for Africa, as well as Africa Export-Import Bank, plus investors, private investors from DRC, Congo, and China. So
yeah. Very good, Washman. Very good, Wado.
So that's the way it's explained on the website.
All right. All right. Shall we
Yeah,
move on? Let's move on to the next topic, which is, I'm gonna marry this too. This probably wasn't even on there, but we are talking about the one and only Bowman's Lusambo's court and tea. Anyway, I'm so sorry. I mean, it's a court report, so we have to talk about it. So last week we heard Lusambo was granted bail, but in one matter, but they can't release him because he's in jail for another matter. Okay, and then I guess the judge asked him, you know. To show proof for his ill-gotten wealth, allegedly. And his answer was, money gotten from politics has no proof. Who talks like that in court? Didn't he just hang himself?
I laughed when I heard that.
Huh? Who talks like that in court?
He said that, yes.
In court, he told the judge that money earned from politics.
And I'm sure he even used politics.
What did he say? I didn't see that.
You didn't see that?
No, I want to hear.
Everywhere. It's everywhere.
Can Wakalinda say it? What did he say, Wakalinda?
He said, money gotten from politics has no proof,
No receipts,
no evidence, no documents to show.
It's simple.
He said those of you that have saved in politics will know that the money that we get as politicians has no receipts.
He is telling the truth.
No, in simple, what you were trying to say is this.
Huh?
But he said the truth, though. That's really true, though.
Other than the thing, we should be having a problem with the truth.
No,
He should have just kept quiet.
No, but what
He
should
should have played the
the
film.
court is that he must tell the truth. In the court, you tell the truth.
But he just hanged himself.
No, he hasn't done himself.
He
He's telling
himself.
the truth. It's for lenience of the court. When you're telling the truth, the court shows lenience on the people that are truthful. Not when you are lying.
Bakazia. What is telling the court there now?
Let me tell you from the eyes of a prosecutor. Let me tell you that. And from what I worked at National Prosecution.
Okay,
Why?
then should I?
So, but look.
Let Bakazia speak from a prosecutor's point of view.
Yes, and I was working with them. They are there. You can ask them if you think I'm lying. You see, the court always exercises lenience on someone who tells the truth. They are harsher on you. If you are telling the truth, the court can exercise its lenience because it is the truth. Not you who feel, Even if I a problem, now we are so the woman having a problem. Can you tell the truth for once? So Bowman is telling the truth. And there, money by politicians has no receipts, including the ones that are stealing right now. Kamoko's money which went into his account, there's no receipt. Have you seen
it? Yeah.
Okay. So, my take on this one is this. He hanged himself for one reason. Mukolanda statement Bowman. He's saying if we to follow Kotapo Fiendalama, there was so much money when it was hard to have receipts. That's what he's saying. If you really look at it.
Ah,
Kule folokota
you
pofi. Kuli
are
mwambe
twisting
wasenda
things.
makasa kakanda alaba.
Munetsa twist you.
Kasa
Why am I
kasa kanda
manipulate
alaba.
if you are
Kule mwasenda pofi. Wala
that is
senda kwa
manipulation
matranki ya
you're
bidi.
doing right
Iwe senda kwa matranki ya tatu. Iwe senda kwa ya bidi. Iwe shan. Kula kwali fio kufolokota. So there was no receipts. Okay? Pos vale folokota pofi. Area shiri kipo hapa bane. If you have to look at it.
Munetsa manipulate if into him.
Okay? So that's what it is. It is what it is. Vale, and it's for sure. If you remember Bowman when he went to Kukoba Belt kunani kani ku constituency ya kunani kani ku what was his area? Bowman was what?
It wasn't in Dollar Central or not?
Kabushi.
It was Kabushi.
Kabushi.
Uh-huh.
When he went to Kabushi, he was on the podium. Okay? And he had these sealed bags of money. Right? It's there on the internet. You can go and research for yourself. Sealed. And if you have such certain.
I have been waiting for that, Vatanda. You've never shared.
Now, Ifuma,
Vatanda, you have not shared that, please.
No. This is this is on the internet. You can go and research for yourself. He went. He said, "Indarame Shivantumina." It was sealed. Okay, and we all know how money that comes straight from the bank, especially if it's large amounts, but I see in a special way. My 500 my bunches, my 100 my bunches. If you have a wino, they seal them. That's plastic. Ati mwachi mwana chi plastic. Ntumine ni rungu. Muforeshe bonse kuno.
Vatanda, shomurela ndabu.
No. Don't distract us when we're talking.
But you're losing the plot. We're talking about his statement in court.
Well, it's the same thing. I'm going to that. So in any case, AMA statements, when it comes to court, you have to show, like I said, you have to show where is it coming from. You know that. Anyway, I rest my case.
Well, I think he hanged himself right there in court. Dr. Kibonka, your comment.
I think he said the truth though. Money in politics, in the current political structures we have in our country, has no receipts, and he's very correct about that because, like I said earlier, there's so many of these other guys that cannot really prove what they have and where they get it from. So he's just saying the truth, not for any reason. I think he was being sarcastic because that's his nature anyway. But he just said, I'm not going to give you any more. But here's the thing, though. One thing that most of these politicians are missing out, especially these former PFers, is that all these bags of money, these same sealed money that they just took from the central bank to their homes, to wherever they buried the money at, they have been just patiently waiting for a time when they come back with the same, or maybe with the same money to use and whatever to show relevance at some point. But with these changes of the currency that is going on right now, it's going to hit them pretty badly. And you would see how much they'll panic. And a lot of them will come out exposing themselves without even realizing. They'll come back with bags of money trying to deposit in the banks, and the banks will say, where did you get this money from? And this will start a cascade of other issues. So a lot of these guys, it is true that they took so much money from the central bank, so much. Actual money, not even just figures and numbers on the computers. They took liquid cash into their own money.
Yes.
I have a question.
So what receipts? That's a point in
they cannot prove anything. That's what I'm saying.
I have a question.
When you went on the podium,
I have a question for you.
Where did that money come from? What is the receipt?
I want to ask it.
Okay, where is the receipt for that?
I want to ask one
those bags
question.
of money that he was distributing, Kubani. I want to see the receipt.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Well,
how much money has there been any?
Doc, are you done with your comment? Before I
can continue. I don't have a problem. You can ask and then you can continue to that because the question is not directed at him. What you call? Do we have any idea or any study or any analysis of how much money was taken from the Bank of Zambia or from any banks? Do we have
No,
any figures?
I don't think there is any, but
So the question that we have here, we speculate that they took a lot of money, isn't it?
yes, that is true. They really
Okay.
did. And honestly,
So then I
you know,
understand.
let me bring you back to something. The typical example was, the former Bank of Zambia governor Mvunga. I think way back in 21, if you do remember, there were some videos that were circulating about the kind of money.
It was an audio. You
I don't, it's
remember?
the
I
audio,
remember the audio.
the kind of money that was they were moving trunks and trunks of
No,
from
the
the
one
central
was,
bank.
I think I remember, but it was specific to one person. This is one of the
Well, but
things
that is the nature. That's the nature of how much money was taken out.
Right now, I can give you an example. Elvis Nkandu bought how many bicycles and split the entire village. He bought and the entire village, Ashtama Jinga, for the entire village. When he's now minister. That is one for me. I was trying to say that is one thing that we show that Amama politics. But now, imagine that right now, the person who was procuring, and I'll give an example. I go back to this same example. You cannot use one person who is wrong and denote the general to say this is the trend. Would we say that the UPND is in the process of procuring consent judgments? Or the UPND, that's the nature of them. They will be procuring consent judgments. When we know that it is one person who did it. And this overgeneralization is what creates a problem and makes it difficult for us to fight such kind of graft effectively. It's overgeneralization with speculative generalization, I can say it. Where we say, oh, because Bowman, my wife's perfume is this. Oh, because Mvunga was having a conversation with Chimbakambui, therefore, every person that was selling under SPCA, that is what they were doing. It is not right, Bakalam. We must be able to segment them. Kamoko took 3 million every Kamo account. Would we say UPND now is taking money and putting in their own individual accounts or whatever accounts they're doing? Or if not, they have totally stopped that. Can we say now, Kamuso was saying you got 10 to copper, would we say UPND now has a tendency to turn all the minerals into overnight? No! We must follow each one at individual level and leave out the clean people that are in UPND. They must be protected from the generalization of those small ones that are actually stealing. Because you see, if they are stealing and they know that while the blame is going to go on everybody, will they ever stop? They can't stop. Let's go back to people and deal with them at individual level. In conclusion, let's not generalize.
All right, shall we move to Dr. Defaniso?
Okay, for me, this is the biggest problem we have in our country, and it's exhibited here where we are right now, as just 5 of us talking here. You see, when something is wrong, we should actually call it as such. When something is right, we should congratulate the person who has done it and say this is correct. We know for a fact, and Chandagazia knows, that during the PF government, the Bank of Zambia was like, what do they call it, a water well. Remember Kambwili was calling Mvunga at midnight saying, I'm coming to get 2 bags of money, 2 trunks of money. That type of thing. It was rampant. And for us to stand here as Zambians who love our country and say because there's no evidence, that never happened, we are generalizing, it's not fair. We know we should be patriotic as Zambians. When one of us has done something wrong, or when a regime is doing something wrong, we should say it as such. PF was not very, very, what can I say, prudent in the way they handled the finances of the country. That's the truth. We don't know yet how UPND will be judged afterwards, but we know we can judge PF because they're out of power now. They were not the best custodian of our resources. And we know what they were doing. And for us to stand here, no, it's just this, because no, you are generalizing, you are doing this. It's not good for our country. Let's hold these politicians to, let's hold them accountable. If they're doing something wrong, they are doing something wrong. Though we have no evidence. I know whenever I talk to my friend, because he says, give me the receipt, give me this. I can't have those receipts. I can't have those records. But it's common sense. We used to see these things happen. All right. So let's stop this thing of justifying the wrongs of our politicians just because we are part of the system at that time. I know you are part of the system, but please, let's be patriotic. Let's call a spade when it was happening. Now, for Lusambo to have
I
come.
respond to that.
No, let me just finish.
Let him finish.
Let me
Okay,
finish.
you can give me chance to respond to that.
Yeah. So for Lusambo to come in court and say in politics, the money has we have no traces of politics. Tell me where I stole. He was even actually being sarcastic, as the doc says, speculated. He was being sarcastic. He was saying, "Mo politics safie. That's what he was saying in court. You know, what type of leaders are these? What type of leaders are these? Ati mu politics tamu abakwati mu government waya kwa accounts bakupera shiresa fienda lama masaka yaingira bakupera waya no gushiku. If you fear, takwa abama deceit in politics. That's why we get rich. So we can't have this type of leader. We should castigate them. We should call them as such that they are not good leaders, and we should confiscate whatever they got from there because they really did us. They didn't do us good. They didn't do the country good. Napwa.
Bakazia, what? 30 seconds.
No, Bakalinda, I have a problem with the way Wadani wants to portray what I've said. I did not say that you can't condemn. I refuse overgeneralization, because overgeneralization diffuses responsibility. Who are you holding? You can't hold the entire party responsible. If Bowman is the one we are talking about for what he did, it's better you talk about Bowman. But you can't include that, they are this. No. Even by UP, and they've given you examples, you're not speaking to those examples. My point, and I stand by that point, we will never achieve anything as long as we are overgeneralizing when there is a specific person that we know who is on trial. If one person is in trial, we talk about that one person.
Can I have 10 seconds? Can I put 10 seconds? Let me just answer, Dr. Sonisa, let me answer it. Wakazia, it's kind of hard not to assume that this was a common practice in the leadership of PF. When we heard the video when Chimbakambudi was asking for 2 trunks of money from the central bank governor, and then somebody else comes out years later, they said there's no receipts because we just received bags and bags of money. It's kind of hard for any reasonable human being to assume that this was not a common practice. So we're not saying generally everybody was this way. We are saying those that had access, they definitely abused the system. Just like Dr. Soriso said here, that they were not good custodians of our country. So we are not generalizing at yo, we're just saying that they were not good custodians because the assumption is that there was a lot of misuse or mismanagement of our resources.
You see, Chikonka, you're right when you say that there was this, but then we must dive deeper. We can't just leave it on the surface that, there was this. Give an example. Kamoko, if we went drunk there, would we say all the UPND ministers are drunk? Because of that one person that we saw drunk on the TV. We can't do that. And therefore they can, because when we start to have that kind of overgeneralization, it doesn't stop. Another person creates one particular instance and it throws the entire group of people. If we give the preamble that, this was what is there. Okay, thank you very much. That's the first generalization. But let's dive now into so that we break down, so that now we come to speak with evidence on what we are saying. But to come and say, to a panga conclusion, because 4 people or maybe 5. And then the 5 people or 6 people becomes the denoting of the 30 cabinet ministers that were seated there because of 2 people that were seated in cabinet. If the first of all generalization is when one cabinet minister messes up, he messes up everything.
What are you saying?
Let me
ask you Vakazia.
Let me just finish this, then you can ask my. If one minister makes a mistake, first of all, the first thing that we all do is generalize. Then when we dive into that, then we now separate new you. But when you just end that generalization without specifying who, then the problem is there. Me, I don't like generalization. They destroy our economy, they destroy the way we look at each other, they destroy how we perceive each other. Because other people, shivani nkupirwa kumo.
You have heard of the term at the tip of iceberg. When you see an iceberg in the water,
So the question that
it means don't go there as a ship. You find
using the same measure. Would we say UPND are drunk the permanent secretaries because Kamoko was drunk? Because it's the tip of the iceberg. If you're using your analysis, it's the tip of the iceberg. Like, oh, to amurafe umo ishi lepa TV nako. Niba ngaba ya kunchito na bakoro. Amount of generalization in the country.
Machina, morning. Narabi Shafi, one question. Okay, I'm going to ask you one question. How confident are you to say, like, for example, one Bowman Rusam, in Darama, he acquired through his way in his politics and stuff, will match the quantity in terms of his assets? How sure are you that all the transactions that have been happening in the Patriotic Front had receipts? Okay, because people, we want to know. People want to know where was the money coming from.
Okay,
let me answer your question. The money was coming from.
Let me answer your question.
Receipts. Let me answer your question. Don't have receipts.
Let me answer.
How are you going to pay your taxes? Okay.
Do you want me to answer your question? Now, let me answer your question, Bachan. There is no way on earth I can know. That is why he is the one to be asked about those questions. And if he fails to answer those questions, he is held accountable as a Bowman. He is the one on trial. It's not the entire party that is on trial because of Bowman. No. Bowman is on trial and is proving himself using the court systems. You can't be guilty by association. You can't be. You are not guilty by association. Our laws in this country, in a country called Zambia, they follow Unkwetu Mulan. And the overgeneralization is what makes programs, even implementation, very difficult even for the current government. It becomes very difficult because other people in UPND are seen like they are thieves when they are actually not. Other people in UPND now, whether or not to have UPND permanent secretaries, and we specify you can walk at the tip of the iceberg. It destroys the caliber of the people that are doing things rightly. But they're working within UPND. Konaula, the people that are innocent within UPND. Konaula, the people that are innocent within PF. Let's follow the people what are doing. If at police level, party mistakes, yes. But then let's dive deeper. But Konka, you are right when you say that there was this general view. Good. But then if we broken down this general view to go to the specifics so that we know where is the sheep and where are the wolves.
It's expensive to do that.
What?
We don't have time to spend.
But then you have only time to overgeneralize. If that is the case, I don't have a problem. Then we must be able to generalize for any wrong thing that happens in the current government, because there's no time where we can separate goats from sheep, wolves. So we must go that route as a country, so that whoever is ruling, we don't have time to separate. We will just tag everybody. If it is someone Shakamaka Mbale procure judgments, it is the president procuring them. And we start talking like that. It is not right. It will not help us to unify ourselves. It will not help the professionals within these institutions to remain professional. Because no one to quiver. Because destitute. That is what you are telling them. Because there is no one who is saying it pays to be principled, to be principled, to be diligent, to be very forthright.
In conclusion,
it's like some of us now to pay for. We pay the price for those that were doing wrong. That's how I feel at times. That when we hear talking and say, I never participated in this. I never did. Then you say, you are all together. Yeah, what they feel?
In conclusion,
Let's stop guilty by association.
let's move on. Yeah, I was honored to say something, and I was going to open another Pandora box, but let's just move on. To Zesco. Well, they did make some very good pronouncements during the week, commissioning that 100 megawatts power station, and also increasing load shedding hours, or is it reducing load shedding hours from 3 to 7 hours? But when you talk to people back home, they still feel like they haven't seen any difference. What's going on with Zesco? Gentlemen, I guess let's talk about that commissioning of that power station. Let's start with you, Lufia.
Yeah, of course. The commissioning of I've been questioning. You remember last time you brought in your friend?
Oh, Matongo. I should
Yeah,
bring
you
him
brought
back.
in
Yes.
Matongo, and I
The
asked him.
Zesco
I asked
spokesperson.
him. I gave him like, look, what is Zesco doing to improve the portfolio when it comes to energy supply? Because Zesco is predominantly known to only tap into hydro, right? With the changing world and changing environment, we need a different sector for Zesco to start investing in. What is it doing? He said, no, yes, we're thinking of those things, that very soon you're going to hear this. And for sure, Zesco, they've commissioned a 100 megawatt plant in Chisamba. Okay. So, meaning they're now not necessarily relying on, as an energy supplier, they're not relying on hydro. They're now going into other sectors, which is good, because if you're a national supplier of energy or electricity, we all know now that moving forward, hydro is not the thing. Hydro, we cannot rely on hydro anymore because of climate changes. Today it will rain, tomorrow it won't rain, this year it will rain, the next year it won't rain. Then we cannot rely on that. So we need to start thinking of other things. So the solar, first plant in December, who knows? And I even told him last time, like, look, tap into other areas. Solar, go into windmill, go into all these other stuff. Hopefully, all those things that I was telling him, they're implementing right now, because the Zesco has the capacity to do it, and they got the money to do it.
I don't think so.
No, oh, they do.
Money wise, I don't.
No, they do. Like Zesco.
I mean, their consumer, let's not go there. Just finish your talk.
Do you know how much money Zesco makes a day?
Even with this reduced,
it's just management of that
even
money.
with this
It's just management of the money.
even with this reduced, power production, consumer, levels. Then remember, they're not able to provide power 24/7 to almost their customers on a daily basis. They were giving people 3 hours to, and now they increased it to 7 hours. And then they're coming from a background where they do electric meter reading, pricing structure where you pay for what you are using. If you're not using, you're not paying for it. So I don't think they have enough money, coming in.
That,
I swear, I don't think they have enough.
That's a different problem.
It's a different problem if you still owe $500 million. It's a big problem. It's huge.
But look at this. That Zesco is still making money either way.
How?
How?
If you can't If you can't give a consumer 24 hours of electricity, how are you making money? Make the math make sense to me. The numbers just don't. I don't get the numbers. I can't add one plus one when it comes to Zesco. I'm sorry, I can't. I cannot do it.
Oh, but when was that Zesco established? It wasn't established yesterday.
Yeah, and they're
So
still
if
talking
a
in
company
debt.
like Zesco has been
They're
existing
still.
for all
We don't
these
forget they're
years,
talking in debt. They still own suppliers and whoever they're doing business with at
and
least
that's
five hundred
another thing.
million
It's a management
dollars.
issue now. It's a management issue. It's a management issue now. Okay, if they're not, they owe people and stuff like that. That's a management issue. That's different. But what I'm saying is this: that entity has the capacity to make a lot of money, and they've been making a lot of money since it was established. And that's why all these parties, especially the former party, they were using it as a milk cow. They were using it as a milk cow. Okay? Why were they using it as a milk cow? Because they knew that it has all this access money. It had money in excess. Okay? Lying around. Okay? The problem is they didn't have a leader to say, look, can you channel these profits that we've made all these years into these areas? Now that we have that leader, now they're moving in the right direction. Okay, you understand where I'm going with this? Zesco shouldn't just rely on hydro; they should rely on other alternative sources. They have the capacity to do it. They've always had it. Why were the politicians going there to form ghost workers? Why were the politicians going there to get money from Zesco to fund the PF campaigns if they didn't have money? It's just the management of that money. How are you going to use it? How are we going to use that money? That's the problem. That's how it was. Now that the UPND government doesn't want to involve themselves in those kind of illegalities, because that was an illegality on its own. We're telling them like, look, wake up and as an organization, and start investing in other sources, because hydro is not doing it for Zambia. You are the biggest and the largest. The small organizations are doing it. What about you, the largest in the country? Are you telling me they can fail to build 100 megawatts all over, dotted around the country? That's a big.
Doctor Jugong.
Well, the Zesco issue is, I kind of somewhat agree with Machanda about the mismanagement issues. I think it's all about management. I think seriously, it is true that hydroelectric power is no longer anything that we can rely on in Africa anymore. Alternative sources of power must be. But given the resources Zesco has, I think it's just like more practice, in my opinion, to think that they're going to continue running the things the same way when they have power to act, not power, power in terms of autonomy in trying to create some other alternative sources. They can do that. I think they can, but it's just not been uh, I don't know if it's industrialized that way or civilized in that way yet. Looks like all these old management styles that they've been using since 1964 still contain the same structures constantly. I think they should really have had ways of trying to recreate other ways to do that. Every year passes, it's a loss of time, but they have the money. It is true that most politicians and political parties, UPND, MMD and PF and all of them, they were getting money from there to finance their campaigns. It is true. Money is there. It has always been there. It's the most liquid place that they can get money from. But they can use that same thing and stop all these other problems that they have. But I just don't see why they don't start from there. I don't know. I yield.
Right. Talk to this one, Esau.
Okay. I know that people think that ZESCO has a lot of money. Actually, the truth is that ZESCO doesn't have a lot of money. Its financial situation is that, as both of you, Chand and the doc have alluded to, it used to be a cash cow for PF for a long time, and they really put ZESCO in a very big debt. I happen to be very, very close to some of the people in ZESCO. I don't want to mention names, but I'll tell you these facts. In 2020, just before the elections, ZESCO made $15.6 billion kwacha loss a year before the elections. Okay? 15.6 billion kwacha loss. All right? I got this information from a very close friend of mine in ZESCO. ZESCO's liabilities exceed their assets by 30 to 32 billion kwacha. The difference between liabilities and assets. Okay? The latest, thanks to our current government, the latest situation ZESCO is in right now is that our current government negotiated for debt obligations of ZESCO so that they can stay afloat. Okay? They secured, maybe some of you heard about this, $700 million to ZESCO from the World Bank. But the World Bank has not given them the $700 lump sum. They are giving them that 700 in phases. And right now we're in phase one. ZESCO is in phase one. Victor Mapani was running a phase one of ZESCO, what's known as debt obligation plan from the World Bank. They got $100 million. These are facts. $100 million from the World Bank to start restructuring. Our president is very good at restructuring some of these debts. He's trying to make ZESCO stay afloat again. So right now, ZESCO is operating on a $700 million grant, not grant. I don't know whether you call it a grant or a loan from the World Bank. And they released $100 million, which is going to run from, which started running in 2024. I think it will end in 2026, $100 million. That's the fact about ZESCO. The money we were seeing, the Bowmans flashing and all this, the PF flashing, yes, they were getting from ZESCO. But that's what made them have that big, massive loss of 15.6 billion kwacha loss. So they get the money, but they have so many financial obligations at the back. But politicians didn't care about that. They were just going there to dig in and get money out of it. But ZESCO on its own, it's not, what do they call the financial guys? It's not liquid, whatever the liquidity, whatever of ZESCO is so bad. But right now, under the leadership, of course, of our current government, they're being restructured, and they got a loan from the World Bank of 700 million, which is making them stay afloat as of now. But they have a long way to get out of they are not out of the ditch yet. That's ZESCO. But going forward, I think they need to be they need to look for alternatives. I think we've talked about this on this forum. That ZESCO needs to look at alternatives other than hydro. This thing is not helping us as a country. Talking about the hours that ZESCO is making electricity available to our citizens. Yes, I think they increased the tariffs 2-3 weeks ago to Zambians paying. I mean, they increased their payments so that they can increase they wanted to start importing from, I think, Mozambique or something, so that they can increase the number of hours from 4 to 7 or something like that. Now, in some areas, they've started doing that, but in some areas, they have not. And what I've observed, I always give examples of my own relatives back home when I ask them about these things, which my colleagues sometimes don't like me giving examples of my own relatives because they claim they also have relatives they can give examples to.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because yeah. Anyway, so my relatives say this. They say, you know what? What has happened? We are Zambians. We have adapted. My sister has adapted to the environment now. She says, now I don't care anymore. I've made my plans. I've got this. I've got that. I've got all. Zambians are very resilient in such things. And I don't know where we get this resilience. You can throw anything at a Zambian, and within a few months or a few days, they're going to adapt. Zambians have adapted to the ZESCO situation. Most of them now are using gas stoves and this and that. They've found alternatives to surviving. So that's what's happening, really. But I'm not saying that they're happy with the ZESCO situation. They are not happy. But somehow the pain is not as it used to be a few months ago. I mean, if last year, for example, when the drought kicked in, they have somehow learned to survive in a very, very, very very harsh environment in terms of electricity. That's all I can say. So ZESCO doesn't have money to invest in anything new right now. They don't. They are in a big financial crisis. Thank you.
That's what I was saying. All right, Bakazia. Your comment by PS.
Wow, I like one of the things that I think I bring to the team here is I think I hold you guys accountable for what you say. You see, if you are going to say the government was getting money from ZESCO, and then we have not actually prosecuted one person getting money from ZESCO, including management, which was giving money, which was meant for ZESCO to these politicians. It makes our WOW delegations and conversation very difficult to swallow if a person wants is to be critical without a partisan line of thinking. Because when you're not going to be partisan, you think about, say, okay, this statement of saying there were so many, the Patriotic Front was getting money from this. Why is it that nobody has been held accountable for giving money, which was from private to these politicians? And how much money did we lose?
Bowman answered that question in court.
Now, if you are getting money from, yes, if he answered that money, someone was giving him the money, where is that person? Because Bowman is a beneficiary, but then there's someone, a conduit. Are we going to hold the Bowman accountable without holding the conduit accountable as well? Because ZESCO are the managing director at that point in time, who must be able to be held accountable for the money I was giving Bowman. To the same extent, we are holding Bowman accountable. But other than that, then we start to create these hullabaloo, which have no basis. And then people, when they listen to us, are these people really digress? Are these people really dissecting these matters to the core of where they are coming from? ZESCO, yes. One of the things my colleagues here must know, ZESCO was bloated. ZESCO is bloated. ZESCO is failing to meet its obligations because of the bloated workforce that it has. What could be true is employing people for nothing, probably. Bloated workforce. And you know what bloated workforce can do with high salaries in ZESCO.
Hi, Sange.
Do you
Hi.
remember, do you remember when there was a conversation around how much is ZESCO managing director earns? Over 700,000, that is what I saw, if it is true. And then if you terminate his contract, how much are you paying for that? ZESCO has been politicized from the days of Chiluba to the days now. Every time there's a new managing director, the entire directorship goes. They are fired and they are paid off. It's a drain because these people earn a lot of money. And these contracts have been designed in a way that they become the breeding ground for a lot of money. They drain the coffers of an institution. PF, when they appointed, I think the other one was before Mapani, he fired all his directors. Mapani went in there, he fired all the directors, and he brought in new ones with new conditions. If you take a contract of a director at ZESCO and see it and look at what is in there, Vane, those people get money and they drain the resources. And because of those hidden kind of arrangements in there, what do we say? We say, oh, government or political parties are going to ZESCO to get money. No, there is nobody there who went to get money from ZESCO. There is no such a thing. Nobody can prove that. Those things are just mere talk, mere speculation. We need to restructure ZESCO, number one, in terms of the workforce itself, make it more visible, make it more corporate oriented, business oriented, and remove political interference in the ZESCO. Because political interference is the ZESCO board chairperson is a de facto MD. Is a de facto MD in all this. This has been a carried forward thing, even to UPND now. He's a de facto person. He's the one who wants to give us the position of ZESCO board chairperson. Where is the corporate responsibility there? Where? No, corporate governance. They dive into it. Number two, ZESCO chooses to export power. Vakalinda was on my neck here. Now today I'm on her neck. What did I say? I said they've continued exporting power. And the Secretary to Cabinet for Namibia comes in government and says it, appreciating the Vice President. We are very happy that you've continued giving us power, even in the midst of what?
How much?
80 megawatts.
What does 80 megawatts do?
80 megawatts can power the entire Lusaka.
The entire Zambia?
Lusaka.
Okay. So
you understand? So let me finish.
Before we lose
let
that,
me finish. Let me finish about that. Just my last thoughts about that. So ZESCO needs to, like all of us have agreed, diversify, get a lot of other players on the market, but these players must be driven by a proper private-public partnership, which is government, where the shareholding in this private partnership has more to do with what is the Zambian people can get out of it than private individuals. Because power itself is really something that we need. Depoliticize ZESCO. And also stop exporting power. Not even one penny of power should go out of the country before the Zambians are saved. And secondly, they were duped to say we are increasing the rate so that we can make it more available. Instead, what do we see? The opposite happening. We need to stop that kind of thing. We need to just go back to the drawing board and start giving power to the Zambians. All the power that is in Zambia must first of all be satisfied in Zambia before we can think about giving anyone else.
Okay. So what I was trying to bring out is this. People are saying that Takwali, I'll agree on one point with you for the first time, I think, Bakazia. Indalama Muzesco Moshara. And if everybody knows, Umuntu Bomba Kuzesco, everybody, even us as young when we're growing up, wanted to work for ZESCO. They know ZESCO pays employers highly than any other organization. They pay them highly. Why they pay them highly? It's because they make super normal profits. So money is there. Money is there. It's just not being managed properly. That's the thing. That's my point. The money is there. It's not being managed properly. Now, certain other things that Novakazia said. We need to look into the organization itself. If we have to bring in new players, let's bring in new players. Because the world is shifting at a fast pace. And even Babatongo, when we discussed these issues with him, I pointed these issues to him. Zambia can no longer rely on hydro, please.
You are whispering.
What?
You are whispering. Your voice goes down very, very significantly.
Oh, you are speaking to yourself.
I don't know. You can hear me now, or I don't know how loud you want me to be.
Speak near to the microphone.
You drop. You like you come in, like you come in, then you drop further.
The more you talk, the less audible you are.
Oh my God.
So you start okay, and then your voice goes
Now I
down,
become
down,
a
down.
spanner.
You are sounding like you are sounding like you are
You
but
need
Danny on the beach.
you need
That is
some
how you are
Congo
sounding.
dust, Batufia.
Hmm?
Become a spanner.
Mulevika, but Danny of some of us panel. We are sounding
No,
like
Batufia need some Congo dust for energy, for voice.
Even Bakalina, do you know what you are saying on the air?
So, you don't figure shiny up.
Put the microphone close to your.
Closer to your mouth.
I think it's very far away from your mouth.
Yeah,
Much
So,
better. If you're
Eh?
Yeah, tumfika ko wino pani.
Yeah, you figure we do.
Yes, stop the supply of
Ngapa?
Congo dust.
Akulandeni. We'll let you know.
So it's okay. Anyway, before I lose my train of thought, I was saying, in Dalama Shazesco Moshava, all we need to do is just manage that money. Chapa. In Dalama Shiria, Omoshiri.
There were a lot of debt.
Sorry?
There were a lot of debt to pay. That's why they're doing debt restructuring right now.
Debt will always be there. There's no operation or company that doesn't have debt.
But when you have $500 million and you had the numbers that
So
the
now,
doc was reading.
But here's the thing. You may have a lot of debt, but how are you going to pay off that debt if you're not making profits? Any management company will think to say, look, if we can start making profits in other avenues, if we can take our money and invest it in a different business venture and start making money so that we'll be able to pay our creditors and the money that we owe, that's advisable. Those are board decisions.
That's what they've done. That's why they're doing now the restructuring program, debt restructuring program. They are on with the World Bank.
So we cannot say Zesco is broke. Zesco is not broke. They have the money. They just haven't managed that money properly. A problem in Ipofi. It hasn't been managed properly since its inception. And we all know ghost workers or those
there's some
those are real stories for ghost workers.
There's some element that I would agree, but also there are other factors that have compounded. One of it is that the creation of this company called the Copper Belt Energy, whatever, which is now a broker for power from Zesco. It doesn't generate its sales on behalf. That was something
But Copper Belt Energy has been there for
they supply energy to the mines.
They don't have any. Yeah, they are a broker. You understand? They are a broker. They have no power of their own. It's like a labor broker who doesn't have employees of his own. So he has to source for people. Then he's the one supplying labor to the other person. So he's a middleman.
Yes.
So if Zesco had created structures where they deal with the mines straight away without going through the broker.
Look, this avenue has been already discussed.
Let me give my submission.
I can tell you one thing.
Let me give my submission on that.
Zesco, as we speak right now, Zesco, they cannot manage the whole mining system and be able to supply them directly. Okay, they need certain players to do that.
I think you needed to hear my submission before you cut me out.
CEC, what they did, they put their own money and put their own infrastructure.
No.
Okay, so that they're able to supply those mines.
No. One person at a time.
He cut me.
I think you guys are just going on into some other things that people. You are losing. You are losing the audience.
Yes, because you see, we are cutting each other out. I was breaking on a point, and then he cut me out and took over. So that is why the problem might be. Anyway, let me listen, and then I can speak after that.
Anyway, my point is this: for the energy sector, ZESCO cannot be an individual entity. It needs partners for it to work and operate at an efficient way, because Zambia is huge, okay, and ZESCO cannot be everywhere, okay. So what ZESCO can only do, like right now, what they've done, the bill that they've put in place right now, if you have your own solar energy, you put up your own solar panel, panganda pamule, okay. For example, it's giving you 50 megawatts, but you're only using 20 megawatts. The rest 30, you can sell it to ZESCO. You start making money.
In conclusion,
the environment now is good for everybody to make money, for everybody to, even ZESCO itself, to diversify from hydro into other, like solar to and that way. Those are the good moves. Okay? So we don't want a company to be defunct because they're just relying on one source of energy, power, which is hydro. They need to wake up and move in the 21st century, which is alternative energy sources. Therefore, today that
thank you. Bakazia, 1 minute. Conclude.
I will continue before I was rudely interrupted. What I was saying is, CEC does not produce power. That's the basic point that I start with. And the amount of money they charge, which should have been going back into ZESCO, is something that is crazy. Towards 2021, the contracts, the deal that had been signed for many years, was coming to an end. And ZESCO did not want to renew that contract. Unfortunately, after PF lost, UPND did not sit down to review why the other friends wanted to not renew that contract. They went quickly to renew that contract and to even give it more power. So now, what has happened is that ZESCO is still being strangled. If you check about the unit cost of the power that has come from ZESCO to them and them to the mines, then you can understand what is there. You can understand how much more we lose as a country, as ZESCO, because that CEC is a very well-connected company with people with a lot of business influence and political influence over our leaders. If we don't fix CEC to the point that they understand that this is a national asset and we must be able to benefit from it, they will end up overtaking ZESCO as a private entity. And ultimately, they will start to actually cause shots in a lot of areas and can actually have a very daring effect on ourselves as a country. We must be able to look at that and see how ZESCO can be capacitated and be restructured properly. The engineers that we have a lot of people that are experienced in terms of transmission and distribution of power in the country right now. That can actually take up, if they were to make such a subdivision of ZESCO, to make sure that in charge of transmission and distribution, we can be able to manage ourselves.
Let me just
people. Why are we saying these things when CEC even has a website explaining everything that does?
Yes, because
and I'm reading this. Everything Tandakazia said is wrong. Everything I said is wrong. I can read word for word. Here, CEC, Copper Belt Energy Corporation. What it does is the main supplier of electricity to the Copper Belt mining companies only.
Okay? Where do they generate power from?
I'm reading.
You could have started now.
Yes. The company purchases from ZESCO and imports electricity from regional markets such as Southern African Power Pool, which is SAPP. Now, here is why we're coming. Why does ZESCO need CEC? One, CEC operates an extensive transmission infrastructure which ZESCO does not have. It includes 1,000 kilometers of high voltage power stations, 50 plus substations, 50 plus substations. All these are dedicated to the mining industry. Now, here's where power generation is concerned. CEC is an independent power producer, IPP, and the regional importer of power into Zambia. It is an independent power producer. It generates electricity through its gas turbine power plant in Luano. It produces power. It is also got 70 renewable energy power stations,
which was opened last year.
Yes,
the president went to
it produces
commission that power station.
I'm
because they
reading.
borrowed money.
It is contributing to 70% of all the power generated by CEC supplies the copper belt. 70%. It's only importing from ZESCO 30% to supply the mines. What are you talking about? That doesn't generate its own electricity.
And ZESCO makes profits out of
Let
that.
me answer you.
I'm reading from the
Yes, I'm going to answer you from the website and what you
it
said.
generates.
No, they make money. ZESCO is making money.
I'll answer. He's talking to me, Machanda. I'll answer him. Finish your dope.
So what I'm reading on their website here, it has got solar power generation. It has in Luano. They have these. They call them what? Whatever they were. And then it's importing also electricity from Southern African Power Pool, which includes South Africa. What all these countries can export, and CEC is the one that imports from that group into Zambia to supply the mines, which is the hub of Zambia's economy. So what the government, why they formed it, basically, is to make sure that our copper belt mines have a stable power supply. And it's generating its own electricity.
Who formed the CEC, Madan?
A little bit from ZESCO.
Who formed the CEC?
Pardon?
Who formed the CEC?
Oh, I even know. Why is that important?
Important. You told us that they don't generate their own electricity. They generate their own electricity and import from the
region. Why
is that
important? Who formed it?
You say they don't generate their own electricity.
What does that
told a lie. They generate 70% of their own electricity. They only import 30% from ZESCO. They have their own renewable.
When you're ready for me to talk, you keep quiet.
Yes.
So listen.
Okay, gentlemen, it's been 3 hours. I have to close the live feed. We can talk behind the scenes. Shall we do that? I have to end the live stream.
We didn't even talk about.
We can talk about it in the background, but I wanted to clarify a few things Daniel said. But anyway,
1 minute.
One, he is talking about formation of CEC. It's not a formation. Look at CEC, the formation, and who formed it. Number two, look at the transmission lines they use. Because we have been away from Zambia way too far. What has been ZESCO talking about when you talk about importation from Southern African pool? Which transmission lines are they using? Why are they buying from ZESCO to supply? My point is that ZESCO can supply you, so it doesn't need CEC. If CEC generates its lines and away from ZESCO, that's where one good. But they're using the same lines of transmission. That is a fact. Anyway, we can talk about it outside this meeting.
Yes, let's talk about it outside. So anyway, let's finish up with our most interesting tidbit we have every week, the rant. Who wants to go first?
Vakalinda, we didn't talk about the notes.
The banknotes. No, we bring in the banknotes. It's been 3 hours.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Our viewers are complaining. It's too long. An average listener only takes 1 hour. So we do 3-4 hours out. We need to break it down. Anyway, you want to talk? Go ahead. Somebody can talk about the banknotes in the rant. Who wants to go first? Nobody wants to talk about the rant? Should we just end?
Yeah, the banknote is all good.
Yeah.
The banknotes timing bad.
That's it. Let's move on now. That's it.
Okay. Shall we talk about the rant? Nobody wants to rant today. Nobody has a rant?
The rant.
North London forever.
I have a rant, of course. I have
whatever the weather, the streets are
in the 88th minute.
we have a new strike. We have a new striker.
Ni Juju ilia.
New striker.
Chaku bantu.
Firmino.
88th minute.
Firmino.
North London forever.
Fibona Fiamawanga. That's why you want to start driving.
These trains are on.
Fibona Fiamawanga.
Manchester United mwalanya mulera tirano.
That is why Mamba Matrios Yavan to Mambo Krafa Kuala Matrios Yawanga to
We have a new
Let me rant first before
Manchester United. Nabalusa ba Manchester United.
Vakalusa.
Nabalusa. No.
Valerusa tunabushiki. How bandit. Muka isale club. I think it's going to relegation.
Rant imwe sure uteko honzo kutenda twarambo kutwala ama which doctors we are going to transmit their trial online sure.
That's a good one. We love it.
What kind of thinking is that? Giving relevance to stupid things in a Christian nation. I wanted to hear Vachikonga's view on this one. Vachikonga, therefore, for view in Paris. The movement of Paris, you have to talk about this one, Vachikonga.
Which one? About which doctors? I think he's gone. He's not here, is he? I think he left.
Oh, Vachikonga left. In the intention of wanting to.
No. I'm still here. Sorry, I was fixing something. Was there a question for me?
Yes, Vachikonga.
Yeah.
I need your comment, Vachikonga. On this one, serious comment, Vachikonga.
Which one?
How can you be talking about taking at live feed for the trial of which doctors really in a Christian nation? Are we not giving relevance to foolish things? Sure.
No, we want to hear. It's intriguing.
There's something about witch doctors. I don't know what that is.
Never heard of that news.
Wakalinda, can you speak to that?
Even me haven't heard about it.
Wakalinda, the chairperson, can you inform the group, please?
I want to hear. I need to know. We could tap into whatever things they use. Maybe we can come up with our own.
Wakalinda, Vachikonga wants to know what is happening, the background. Give the team the background.
I don't know what's happening. I'm asking about this. Which doctors? What's going on?
Even me, I don't know about it.
They were caught.
Okay.
Trying to bewitch the president a few months ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then they said they were hired to kill the president. Yeah, so that's the background of that story in a nutshell.
The president, there were 2 witches that came from Eastern Province that went to bewitch the president.
They flew within 5 minutes.
They were arrested.
From Eastern Province, they were at State House.
We want to broadcast the trial of those 2 witches.
That's a very interesting story. I mean, it's so funny. People believe that voodoo is real, but I tend not to believe that. It's like whatever it is, I have no idea.
Vachikonga, I was thinking, how can we, as a country,
it's very forward thinking.
To start thinking like
very modern thinking, very forward.
I think we're talking about football, and then I was lost a little bit, and then you took us back to an old topic. We discussed this like I don't know how long ago.
No, Vachikonga, that was my rant. So when I was ranting,
that was his rant.
Vachikonga, I need your serious comment on this one. No,
what?
So that's why I put you back in to say, Vachikonga, seriously, sure. 21st century, we want to broadcast and waste money and time over stupid people that we have no relevance. Anyway, I end my rant there.
Well, the interesting part is that I didn't even have any idea what this witch doctor story is all about. So I don't know, and I'm just hearing about it. I know that there was, I heard about something like that. I don't think HH even believes in witchcraft, to be honest with you. So I think he just laughed about it.
No, but it is actually hitting headlines in Zambia. Huh? You should be. Yeah, but anyway, that is what
Yeah,
was.
that's a nice rant,
It's
bro.
just a right to laugh about.
All right, who's going for the next round?
I am. I'm going. I want to go in.
Go ahead, Doc.
When I'm a Zambian, though I've lived abroad for a long time, I'm still Zambian. Through and through, my blood is Zambian. Everything is Zambian. I want to know where my former president is.
We'll tell you after we get out.
Can just I want to. It's my rant.
We'll answer you, Kai.
Wait, no
Oh, you
answer.
don't want to know.
The rant is just a rant.
Let
It
him
It's a
doesn't-
rant.
question, Kai.
Vakazia.
Muna posing a question.
Wait.
Vakasia, can you
You'll be thrown out of the forum now. Okay, so
There's no way you can do that, Vasidani.
my rant is that I want to know where my former president is, what he's doing, wherever he is, because I'm a concerned citizen. I love him so much. I want to know where he is. It has been months and months of silence. The moment we told him you are not standing in 2020.
Someone you are insulting day night.
Vakasia, ni kanshi. Imwe.
It's my rant. It's my rant.
Can you mute
Let
Vakasia?
the dog
Mute
finish
Vakasia.
his trail
Mute
of
him.
thought.
Let me finish.
Let him rant along.
Yes,
This
please.
is
Because
fine.
when my president went to his farm on Friday, and it wasn't HH went on Friday to his Namwala farm and came back on Sunday, the whole Tonse Alliance was, where is the president? The president is going to throw, blah, 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 blah. So they were concerned, like citizens. They wanted to know where their president was, which is good. Me, I'm a citizen too. I want to know where my former president is, Lungo. It has been long time. Where is he? I want someone to inform me where the former President Lungu is, whether he's okay or where he's just having fun in Johannesburg, whatever. We are hearing all sorts of things that is there, is where, but please clarify that for me as a concerned Zambian.
Vakazia may answer that.
Vakazia might not. Okay, maybe. Okay, that's my rant.
That's what I've been trying, but you said I shouldn't talk with your rant. So go ahead and rant. You said you can't respond to a rant. I was trying to help you, but you came at me. Hey,
Because you were interrupting before I finished.
I was just saying, but how do you even you see that's being hypocritical. You insult this guy the entire time.
When did I insult him?
Yeah, come on. You have
When did I insult him?
calling stuff, things.
Nobody's
So just
insulting.
leave him
Nobody's
alone.
insulting.
Lungu here.
Nobody's insulting.
Just leave him alone.
Nobody's insulting Lungu
This
here.
time, you guys are. We have been warned by what Jack Wimble. When you talk about the health of the president, you'll be arrested. So I know Ashman, I risk being arrested for asking about the health of the president. You will be arrested. I don't want to be arrested.
He's asking about his whereabouts.
No, you can be arrested. In Zambia, you'll be arrested.
All right. This rant is not getting us anywhere. Doc, Shikonga, you have a rant for us today? What do you want get out of your chest?
I do not.
All
I do not
right.
have that.
You and I have done our rant, so you have something.
I've deferred that one. I'll see you guys next week.
Oh, great. But Chilufia, you have your rant, or you and I are done with the rant?
No, I got one little thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Just one small little thing before we go. I think as the UPND party, we need to start checking these individuals. A lot of them that are coming on board to the UPND. They're coming from PF. They're coming from.
We can't hear you, but you
katiweshivani ngatishingatambulengo mfwa but namwishiva ili ashiri kwatimwe pomulera ndaimi kwatimwe vakaziya, you're just wasting your time in politicking about the PF, which is a no-go
So
party.
is the rant about me, Bachan?
No, it's my rant.
But
It's
are
my
you
rant,
ranting
and
about me?
I've got the
Because you're mentioning my name.
no. It's my rant. I
On
can
me.
discuss whatever topic I want.
Yeah, but are you ranting on me? I want to know.
No, don't worry about that. That's not
But
your.
you're
That's
mentioning
not
my
your.
name. How can I
No,
not be worried?
that's not your privilege.
Chair, I need to be
You
protected
can
here.
answer at the end. You can answer at the end. I'm saying you're just wasting your time.
Don't mention names.
Okay? If you want, just come nicely.
You are welcome.
Okay? Just come. Not if you're going to you're supporting a rhinoceros.
Where?
Dinosaur.
Where am I welcome?
Dinosaur,
Where?
when it existed, the
Where
dinosaur
am I
existed.
welcome?
We're welcoming you.
Where?
Party, yes.
Where? Which party?
Murepusha nokwepusha.
Pusha.
UPND.
UPND, we can welcome you. We can
Me,
bring
I'm
you.
welcome to UPND.
Is
Okay.
this a rant or what?
Since when? I was
Is this a rant
Just
or you're
wasting
just
time
sending your
in
annoying rant?
supporting.
mwerantu fyabachanda ikalenisi ngatamkwete fyakusi.
Mwina support ebintu byakusupporta supporta evira nomba wati ule support ebintu byakawata vile pangana sense farasi kusupporta you know tapali pati yo mule support tapali tamuishinga ni pati ni bachavinga ni ba mausampa kachinga ni ba lunga, who knows, you know. And Chavinga was there on TV saying he is the president of the PF. Okay. And the other day, Naleonfa, Nankani Mausamba saying that, look, I am the president of PF, but I want to go back you know, to Tonsa. So you are confusing people. Can you tell us your politics here? We have outside of the UPND, the opposition. Where are you guys? Are you
There's
organized?
no opposition.
Or you're disorganized? Very, very, very disorganized individuals. Very disorganized individuals where nobody knows where or which party you belong to. And you're confusing the Zambian people. Okay? One day you're saying you're Tonse, there's like, where are you? People need to know.
I'm going to answer you, Bachanda.
No.
Let's stop recording
Yes, outside the rant.
No, but you see, you can't if you wanted to speak that outside the camera, yes, then I cannot do.
1 minute.
Yes, I have to
1
respond to you.
minute. 30 seconds.
Thank you, Chair. Bachanda, you should never talk like that. It's not right when you say, I've never declared my political ambitions here or told you that I'm going to be joining any politicals. No, I am a very independent thinker. If I was to join politics, you will see my tone will change. You will know that now he's going into politics. I want him to be a politician. When the campaigns start, you will hear the tone probably change. Right now, I'm not supporting anyone. I'm just speaking my mind out. And you see, one of the things that you should benefit from, and I think you should really benefit from, is the openness to which I would say things that are very difficult for you to understand and listen. The things that are very touchy, things that go under your skin. If you have someone telling you that, it means very well. The moment I will start agreeing to you on everything, you should know that now I'm gone. The moment you say yes, and I keep quiet, then you should know there's a problem. Because in civil service, we believe that the moment the civil service stop telling you, then you know you are wrong. So I am the civil service of this group to tell you to say, if you this is wrong, this is what was there, this is what wasn't there. So if you are going to mistake that to say, no, just come, no, I am not interested in those political machinations. UPND is a difficult part to join. You have to understand that you have to be very, very understandable. You must know how they operate. If you just jump into UPND, there is a list of people crying out there who went there in UPND thinking that they can make a change. But and that is one thing I know President HH for, and I've told Dan, I would not try to tell you. If there's one person who knows how to deal with threats as President HH, he knows how to deal with them. He will let you get there and then finish you immediately you are there. He's very good. He doesn't. You can't betray him and think that you're going to have a day. But no, you can't. Him is very, that. And for us that work with PF, the trust levels are very low in terms of your PND. That is just a fact. That's how I feel. His trust levels for anyone who worked with Edgar Lungu and even before Edgar Lungu and the other things, I don't want to mention them here. It's impossible to be trusted within your PND. Sorry about that.
All right. And on that note, after 3 hours and 31 minutes, we come to a close of this live broadcast. Until next week, keep the faith.